Hello, world. This is Chris Aballo's podcast experiment, and I am Chris Aballo. Welcome to the show. Thank you for following the show on TikTok and Instagram at CAPEPOD. Thank you for subscribing to the show wherever you get your podcasts. And thank you also for subscribing on YouTube, where you can watch full episodes of the show every Monday for at least a few more Mondays, specifically 2 more Mondays after this one, because we're coming to the end of the first half of the 2023 run. Hard to believe, but here we are, 8 episodes deep and only 2 to go. Thankfully, they've all been great. And this week is no exception, because joining me, making his return appearance on the show, please welcome back U-Goboy.
Yahtzee.
And making his CAPE debut, and more on his second appearance in a second. But let me introduce him first. The host of First Class Second Place, which is a podcast, obviously, Jason Enrique.
Yes, indeed.
Welcome, gentlemen. Glad to have you here. Speaking of people who are coming back, Connor on the ones and twos.
Wish I had like a soundboard I can just put like an applause button.
You should, I know. Instead, I'm just going to have to jack your volume up by like 25 dB. Yeah.
Just play a LinkedIn ad.
Yeah.
We're good to go.
Add Connor on LinkedIn. The link is down below in the episode description.
Oh, that's a graphic. That deserves a graphic.
Yeah, but we need like an 8x10 of Connor. We need a headshot. Do you have a headshot? You don't. You're not as show business as we are, which is a good thing. Do you? Okay.
That's the thumbnail.
I think so. I think that in itself needs to be a clip.
Like what you see.
Like what you see?
Like what you see? Ready
Like
for,
me on
ready
LinkedIn.
For, ready
and
for
Tinder.
work.
And Tinder.
Ready for work. Ready to be hired.
Is this what you want?
No judge.
Is this what you want?
Is this what you want?
Oh boy. There's going to be a lot of drop imitating on this show, because these two fools they obviously host their own shows, and they use a lot of drops in their shows. We don't have drops. So they're going to be shouting out stuff. You'd be like, why do they keep saying savage? Because usually that's a drop. Why do they keep doing Ric Flair's woo? Because they use that as a drop. Yeah. Yeah. Why they do like the air horn, like they do when they score points in an NBA game.
I have no sense of that. That's
AKA my missus hearing trauma.
Oh, dude, I'm so ADHD. I get so distracted when I hear the drops playing in the studios. I'm like, what? Huh? All the time. Like when I was on I was on both these guys' shows actually. So links in the episode description below. My appearances on the U-Goboy podcast and First Class Second Place.
Shout out to Marv. Shout out to Steve.
That's right.
Bravery up.
Bravery up.
Bravery up. One of the other homes of Chris Aballo's podcast experiment, Bravery Studios in Garfield, New Jersey. So at the top of the show, before you click onto something else, because you're like, this show's a mess, I'm just going to tell you. So CAPE 230, which is going to be Monday, June 26th. It is going to be the 10th and not final show of the year, but final show for the first half of the year, because we're only doing 20 episodes this year. Sorry, it's busy. Everybody's busier than ever. We've talked about that in the last couple of weeks. Everyone's just busier than ever. So doing 20 shows all in is just realistic, because I like being able to deliver the show to you guys with a certain degree of quality. I like being able to put out the video clips. I like making sure the guests are top quality. And you know what? It's tough to nail people down. And obviously I got a lot of stuff going on outside of this too. So we are only doing 10. So CAPE 230, June 26th. Oh, we are ending this run with a bang. We are going to be having the wax special from Bravery Studios, which will include Jason Enrique getting waxed. You'll have to check out the episode to find out exactly what area of his body is getting waxed. Also, CAPE stalwarts, Jack DeFranco and KP Burke will also be getting waxed. And it's going to be, it's no doubt going to be a great watch and a great listen. The audio goes up before the video, but that's one you're going to have to, probably both. I'm pretty sure it's going to translate in audio and definitely video.
As the kids say this day and age, it's going to be a movie.
It's a movie.
Yeah.
It's going to be a movie.
Finna be a movie.
It is.
It's finna be a movie. Excuse me.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry, I aged out of slang.
You said you wanted me to come on and like be the play-by-play, or
You're going to do commentary with us.
with
yes.
Mind Mix.
yeah, true.
And myself. Yeah.
So,
Do you want to come?
I'll get my John Madden on.
There you go.
Like, for sure. Oh, he's got the wax.
Dude, that was excellent.
She's got the wax.
Awesome. That was awesome.
Oh my God, please. I need it. Now I'm even more excited. We're already excited because this is going to be a big show. It's going to be, and that's the other important part. It's literally going to be the crossing over of the universe. This is going to be the Bravery Avengers meets the shared universe Chris Aballo's Juvenile League. It's going to be unreal. Like, this is honestly the best possible finale. We were supposed to do it as like, it was going to be a special for Memorial Day, but we just, again, just coordinating it was just not happening. We're trying to get a bunch of people together on one day, and that's hard to do, period. So we finally got it to work, and I was like, well, now it's got to be the last episode of the run. It's going to be the one when people go to check out most recent episodes, they will find that, and will be like, what the fuck is this show about? And
you got the wax. You got the wax.
And featuring U-Goboy as John Madden.
Same.
She got the. I don't have a John Madden. I'll leave that to you. I'll leave that to you. I know you know. You know. My experience is mostly with the video game, more so that than watching.
There you go.
Madden 93, 94, 95.
I had 93
era.
on Genesis, man. Oh my God, I still do. I still have that one. 92?
have,
92 or 93, yeah.
94, 95. I was
still
Super
have-
Super
I got
Nintendo
90
kid.
I got 94 too.
Unfortunately, I never played any football or any sport games on video game
Oh
consoles.
man, you're breaking
Yeah.
my
You went
heart.
outside like a normal kid.
Yeah, that.
Good for you.
That, and it was mostly like Mario or Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat.
Well, you were a
Same.
Nintendo guy. You mentioned it before when I asked
I
you
did.
about
Well, I
the
just
Super
I had a Super Nintendo primarily because of Mario games. Like that, it was like Mario or Sonic. You know, literally choose your fighter. And I went with I need Mario Kart and Super Mario World, which was still just entertaining as hell. So I'm like, it's that over Sonic. Plus, my friend who lived across the street had a Sega Genesis, so I was covered.
True.
So when I wanted to go play Sonic or Sonic 2, I'd go over there.
No,
you want to play Super Mario, he would come to my house.
No, me and my brother, we were Genesis, so we were Sonic. We
Right.
were Sonic growing up.
I get it.
But it's
Same
dope,
here,
it's dope though that you had the Nintendo.
Oh, I still got it. Dude, it still works.
Wait, do you have Donkey Kong?
Yeah, Donkey Kong Country, yes.
Nice.
Of course. I got the converter so I could plug it into my 65-inch TV, so the resolution's not great, but you can plug it into a modern TV. And yeah, it's pretty. So I found a bunch of games. I tweeted it out for those who follow me at Chris Aballo on Twitter to my boys from God Forbid, Doc Coyle and Corey Pierce, saying next time you guys are in Jersey, you should come over because they're big like 90s action movie. We're gonna get to movies in a second, I swear, but they're big 80s and 90s like action movie buffs like me because we're all around the same age. And I found my Super Nintendo games for Lethal Weapon, Cliffhanger, and what was the other one? Oh my God. I know there was a Judge Dredd, but I don't have that. Oh, what was the other one? I tweeted out.
It was Stallone?
Cliffhanger. I'm trying to think. It wasn't Demolition Man. Wait, now I got to check Twitter and see
I got to
exactly
check it
what
out
was.
for you now. Yeah.
Could've been Judge
I got to
Dredd.
know.
Could have been Judge Dredd.
Anyway, I said to him, no, but I don't own Judge Dredd, so I know it wasn't that.
Stop or my mom will shoot.
That. You know what? I played the shit out of that game. I'll tell you.
I am
If they
the
had-
law.
I know. I remember there being Judge Dredd, and I
There was a
didn't.
Judge Dredd, yeah.
But I didn't have that one. I remember playing it though. But anyway, I dug out my games, which of course I have, and I was just very much like, oh man, I can't believe it. Batman Forever.
Oh,
That's
nice.
it.
Batman
And,
Forever.
and Madden 96. I'm sorry, I was wrong about which
nice.
it's had. So, because I knew it. I knew there were going to be some other games.
By the way, I'm looking at your Twitter right now.
Yes.
I really appreciate the retweeting of Johnny Mnemonic.
I mean,
underrated movie.
Yes.
Very
yes,
underrated
but
movie.
tell me that weird ass Apple device is not that thing he was wearing 27 years ago.
They did call it an
is.
iPhone.
They did. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also what Marty Jr. is wearing in Back to the Future 2. That was another one I retweeted where he's got that headset on there. My dad, telephone, it's needles. Like it's him. He's wearing that mask.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's weird. But speaking of movies, which is kind of sort of why we're here. As usual, this show's
I think we
anything but
got into
linear.
it, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, while we're
Indirectly,
talking
but
about
still,
movies.
yeah.
So we want to talk about some movie stuff because these guys are movie nerds like myself. And that's actually how we met each other virtually. That link will be in the description of the episode as well. A panel we did thanks to Marvin from Bravery Studios who had us do a Zoom panel. The week of Christmas, debating whether or not Die Hard was a Christmas movie. You could see who took what side. Just watch it below. It's like 40 minutes. It's not particularly long. So, but finish watching this first. Finish listening to this first. And you could check that out as well. But that's how we met because he was like, I got to get these movie nerds together and do something with them. And boy, was he right. So
And look where we are now.
exactly. We talk a lot about movies. So I had a bunch of things that I wanted to talk about with you guys. And also, of course, throw it open to whatever you guys have to say. But there are things that are concerning me now because it's a very divisive theory. Is it divisive or divisive? Let's say, is it divisive? Okay,
Divisive.
sure. Let's go with that. Where I think there's a window of time that is acceptable for making sequels, and there's certain time there's a time when the window has closed. Like the time has passed. If you were going to make a sequel, you should have done it already. Sorry. And I've cited this over the years, whether it was Independence Day Resurgence. I'm like, nope, it's too late. And a movie that kind of universally hated anyway. Dumb and Dumber 2, which we waited for too long. And I'm like, not what we hoped for. And once again, I have that concern for different reasons, but also because here we are, a lot of time has passed because they're currently shooting Beetlejuice 2 and Beverly Hills Cop 4. And I'm like, my fear is that they're not only going to be as forgettable as those sequels, and a couple other ones that recently, like, Zoolander 2, they did like Coming to America. Yeah. Like my fear is that it's going to turn out like those movies where like people are going to watch it once and just forget. Like they're going to be kind of that disposable. I mean, aside from people tend to kind of just move on from movies anyway, just because the options.
Especially due to the fact that if it's streaming, they could watch it essentially for free. They can watch it over and over.
Well, yeah. I mean, if anybody still has Netflix after everyone gets cut off from accounts, but from the accounts they're co-opting. But no, Netflix is doing Beverly Hills Cop 4.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it's going to get theatrical release first, which is surprising because
I never understood that logic because you know that people are going to settle for staying at home as opposed to going out to the movie.
But not necessarily, because they did it with Glass Onion. That made a ton of money, and they only had it out for a week. So I feel like they shot themselves in the foot.
They have
like people went out.
They have to have the caveat of who's attached to it, like who's gonna be in it. Like if it's an ensemble cast, if it's a lot of big names, like they can get away with it with Glass Onion.
And
I think that
award season, it does need to play theatrically to qualify for awards. So something like The Irishman, they were like, well, we have to put this in theaters because we want this to get nominated.
Yeah.
So it has to run in a certain amount of cities for a certain amount of weeks. So I get that, but there's still like I wanted to go see Glass Onion in the theater, and frankly, I just missed it because I'm like, it was only a week. Like, are you kidding? Like, I never get to anything the week it comes out.
Only
That's
a
just
week,
me.
though?
I know. Well, that's why. I mean, I get it was a good marketing technique to just be like, hey, you can only see it for 1 week in theaters, and then you can watch it at home. It wasn't like there was going to be a delay. I don't think there was a delay in between. I think it was just like a week, and then like Black Friday, I think it debuted on Netflix, something like that. But I think the Friday before Thanksgiving, it came out in theaters. It's like, come see it in the theaters or watch it at home in a week because why do you want to pay $15 to see this? But I would, and I would have, I literally just watched Glass Onion, I think on Memorial Day. So I just watched it. And it was excellent, but I obviously wish I'd seen it in the theater. But I also feel like, what are we going to do with Beetlejuice now? I'm not saying it's not going to be good. There's not a great track record of movies having sequels made years later that actually end up being good. But
with the exception of...
Well, that's what I was going to say. And that's the problem. Because 35 years later, you make a Top Gun sequel and it makes $1 billion. And now everything is going to be mined for sequels because one movie, it's like everything else that happens. Well, there's one hit, so we need to chase that thing. Even though there's a long line of sequels that just did not pan out.
Yeah. And, honestly, I don't know if this plays a part into it, but it's a theory that I have. I just really think that Top Gun Maverick really worked because Tom Cruise is all in on it. I'm talking about like not just the acting, but the production, its marketability, this, that, and the third. He was all in on it, and it was legitimately a passion project. Whereas, whereas I feel like Coming to America, or Dumb and Dumber 2, or even Beetlejuice to an extent that's coming out, and maybe even the Bad Boys films. That it's really just mainly for a payday for the main actors. I just feel like their heart is not really into it. They just feel like it's a nice payday, and also just to work with everybody else again from a long time, but they're not really thinking about the legacy of its predecessors.
I get that, and that's kind of the funny thing, at least with regard to Coming to America, which I need to emphasize because it's got the same goddamn name. Yeah. So we need to distinguish.
I don't know how I feel about that marketing title, but either way.
I don't know either. But
well, I mean, going into it, you knew that as soon as it came out, it was a PG-13 rating. Everything changes.
Yeah,
everything changes. Yeah. I mean, the original, which we've talked about
totally
in length. It's my favorite movie of all time.
And it also has a lot of I don't want to say useless, but it was unnecessary cameos.
It was a victory lap. Yeah. I regard the movie as a victory lap.
Yeah.
It was basically they just said like, oh, you're black? Oh, you're a fan of Coming to America? Come on.
Look who's here. En Vogue, Morgan Freeman. Everyone's in one scene.
Yeah, exactly.
Except
Rick Ross speaks for like 2 seconds.
They used his house, so that's
that's definitely
that was his contribution.
Yeah. Listen, I get to be in a movie with Eddie Murphy. You'll always have that. I was in an Eddie Murphy movie once. Which one? Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. It was one of them.
I was in one of them. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, but I mean, my expectations were tempered going in once again, and
for that reason too. I agree.
I listened to all of Eddie's press during the run up until the release, and he said, "I just wanted to make something for my kids." I was like, "Well, this is not."
Oh no!
That changes.
Yeah.
Now I take that and I put that with Mr. Deeds and Thousand Words and Dr. Doolittle. I don't put that with.
Deeds.
Well,
I mean,
I got that mixed up with the guy Thousand Words. He was in that, right?
Yeah, Thousand Words was
Words,
his. Yeah, Mr. Deeds. That's right. Mr. Deeds is forgettable too.
Yeah.
I mean, as with all Adam Sandler's 21st century output. Go ahead.
Yeah, so
I know for sure
it changed everything.
I know for sure he didn't make Norbit for his kids. That's for sure.
No.
Oh, no.
That was strictly that was strictly a Charlie Murphy thing.
No, that was like, well, I already did. I don't know if I can do a third Eddie Professor. Although apparently that's being bandied about still. And I'm like, are we going to revisit this thing 20 something years later? I don't know. I just feel like there's a point when something like that wore off. And that was part of the disappointing thing about coming to America, is because he said, like, wow, this movie really has a legacy. Like, people really into it. People are still dressing up like the characters and on Halloween 20 something years later. And they kept rejecting all these scripts that were coming through. And that's why watching it, I was like, this is the one that you said was good enough.
Again, it all made sense after I watched him in about 3 separate interviews the month leading in, saying that, I just want to make something for my kids. And that's when, so it would make sense that scripts are getting rejected, but because those were probably scripts that were more risque, more in line with the first one. The first one is as R as it gets.
Totally. Like, that's what I don't understand. You can make a movie for your kids, but not this movie.
The same John Landis who made Animal House made Coming to America and Blues Brothers
and Trading Places.
There's a lot of F-bombs. Like Jamie Lee Curtis is topless in Trading Places.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Thankfully.
So it's just like, so you just know going in, okay, this is going to be as opposite of John Landis as possible, and it's something more family oriented. This is not what you can't go in with the same
family oriented. Yet Akeem got drugged and raped, basically. Like, it's a family oriented movie where the main character gets raped in 1988.
And I'm getting the director from Hustle and Flow. So
yeah, that's kind. I mean, look, I'm not gonna lie. If Eddie Murphy said, like, had a meeting with me and wanted me to direct it, I would have said yes to him. So, if I'm being honest, I would have been like, well,
it shouldn't be up to you. It should be up to Eddie Murphy, though.
Well, I'm sure he did, though. He must have picked it because the dude made Hustle and Flow and what was it? Black Snake Moan, which is great.
And he also did Dolomite Is My Name, which did have Eddie Murphy.
That's right, which was excellent.
And
that was another one that
really
played in theaters for a couple of weeks, and I totally would have gone to see it.
But that was very R.
Totally. Well, that's
absolutely.
what I'm saying.
I was here for it.
And that's where I'm conflicted again about Beverly Hills Cop 4 for a bunch of reasons. Number one is going to be PG-13. Number two, all right, we can let's take the third one out of the equation because we could do a whole show on Beverly Hills Cop 3.
That was pretty dirty though.
Yeah.
A lot of if you actually have to neuter 4 and third one is going to be more vulgar, then that's trouble. Yeah.
But that's what I'm thinking. Like the Beverly Hills Cop movies, just like Coming to America, like those are not family movies. They're not PG-13 movies.
No.
Is it going to be? But where I'm at, and again, all film is subjective. We're just sharing our opinions here. We have no sway over what's going to happen. These movies are getting made and coming out, regardless of our opinions.
Especially on my opinion of Die Hard, we're not going to go there.
Well, that's it. And those kept declining in quality after the third one, and noticeably. But anyway, my thing is, I don't want to see a 60-year-old Axel Foley. That really is where I'm at. I know, but that's the thing. But I'm like,
get all of it.
But why? Like, I mean, there's the part of me that's just like, this was so good, and for what it was, it's like, he's not, I mean, they tried doing a TV show years ago. Brandon T. Jackson was playing Axel Jr., and they shot a pilot. Barry Sonnenfeld directed it. He did the Addams Family movies and Men in Black. And so, like, a known director. There were, character actors in it, like Kevin Pollak. Like, there was a cast that was stacked, and Eddie Murphy was going to be, I don't remember if he took over for, he was a captain or the chief or something like that, but he was going to be in Detroit. And his son, Axel Jr., was going to go out and be a cop in California. So Eddie was going to be recurring. And the pilot got rejected. And that's 10 years ago, probably, I think. Because there was a series of stuff where I was like, Brandon T. Jackson's funny. It's a shame this kid can't get a break. But
I thought he was great in Tropic Thunder.
Oh
yeah,
my God.
and the
Phenomenal.
Percy Jackson movies, which were for what they were fine.
Which ones?
But Percy Jackson.
Oh, yeah,
it was
yeah,
like
yeah,
post
yeah.
Harry Potter. Like it was. I mean, it's a different type of thing, but also the same.
I guess he made Big Mama's House too, and it just went down from there.
Oh my God, he was. Oh, he was.
No,
Shout
the
out to
third
Martin
one. I'm sorry,
Lawrence.
the third
Shout out to
one.
Martin
He
Lawrence.
wasn't that. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I used to be so excited by movies. I saw Big Mama's House in the theater opening weekend.
Me too.
I used to be, dude. I'm telling you, I was not always as cynical. I saw
know,
Big Mama's
but,
House.
But that's actually a conversation that we can get into in a little bit. But let's stick
Okay.
on to this one first.
Yes, yeah. Let's stick with that. And in the same way, these potential sequels. Now, again, Beverly Hills Cop 4 is totally happening, but they still keep talking about. And I was reminded of this actually because within the last week or two, Joe Blow on YouTube, they did. They've been revisiting the Lethal Weapon franchise, and yeah, they're still saying Lethal Weapon 5 is written. Even Shane Black did a treatment for it. And as the guy who created it and didn't want to work past the second one, I'm like, really? Like even he wrote one? And Mel Gibson says he's going to direct it. And like you can't, say what you want as a director. The guy is, you can't really fuck with him as a director. In terms of Braveheart, I never saw Apocalypto. People love Apocalypto.
What about Hacksaw Ridge?
I actually didn't see Hacksaw Ridge.
I didn't see that either.
That was a great one, and I had my trepidation about it because it did have a lot of religious themes about it and everything. But it's probably one of the to me, if Saving Private Ryan is number one, Hacksaw Ridge is pretty like
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, really?
because
Wow, that's a bold statement.
But wait, solely because of the war scenes. The war scenes are some of the best I've ever seen on film. Just right under Saving Private Ryan.
Wow. See, funnily enough, people actually turn to another. Yeah, laugh it up. People actually turn
Did say
to
funnily enough.
another Mel Gibson movie. Yeah. So yeah, that's your cue to laugh, guys. These are my yes men right here. I'm stacking the deck now on this show. I'm tired of contrarians. That's why you don't see some of the old people on the show.
Soup's too cold. What is this, Velvet?
And I got a resident impressionist now too. I don't need to do all the impressions anymore. It's like the family's growing. I wasn't kidding when I said we got more characters in Star Wars now, folks.
Should change the name to the Three Putzes.
But a lot of people call out We Were Soldiers as like behind Saving Private Ryan, which is another movie I saw it however many years ago. I mean, I don't really remember it too well, but that's another one people say. So it's coincidentally just a Mel Gibson movie. He only was in it.
I just know I was during my high school years, so that's it.
Yes, that was not the type of movie you were looking for entertainment from, probably.
No. I was. It's just that I didn't think it was a bad movie. I just think it was anything memorable, and I felt like the ending was a little bit too Hollywood for its type of the type of film that it was.
I got you.
Like it was.
I don't really remember it. It's one that I'm saying I should probably watch again.
It's a war movie that actually has a great happy ending. How often does that really work out?
It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't. That's a good point. That's an excellent point.
War movies are looked at it as a completely different lens altogether.
Yeah.
With Band of Brothers, then Red Line. You see what I'm saying?
But then when you give it with the Disney ending, it's
that's a little. No, I hear you. Again, that's one I'm sure as an adult now. It's one of those movies I would revisit and probably take more away from. But that is something. Yeah, I'd agree with that. But the idea of like, no, we're going to do another Lethal Weapon at this stage, and I looked it up because I said I need to know because I can't believe this is still an idea. So Mel Gibson, 67. Danny Glover's turning 77 this summer.
right.
30 years ago, he was going to retire in Lethal Weapon 3. And I'm like,
Apparently
what are
he's
they
not too
gonna
old for this
do?
shit.
That's what I'm saying. Like the first movie, he wasn't even 40 in the first movie. I don't know how old he was playing. Danny Glover was like 37, even though he looked like he was 48. In the first Lethal Weapon, and was saying he was too old for the shit. Now he legitimately is.
Yeah.
And we're really going. What is Riggs going to wheel him around, and he's going to carry like a siren in his lap? Like I can't imagine a Lethal Weapon 5
Imagine him
that's
trying to
going to be compelling.
What's the running gag? He has trouble opening a Tesla or something. I don't know.
Yeah, the search for the remote. Like Riggs, I can't find the remote. I'm coming over, Raj. I don't know. I don't imagine like.
Listen, I'm all for another Predator with Danny Glover in it. If we
But
can
it's.
possibly get that.
I mean, I'm fine with him playing a role, but not as the lead guy like the underappreciated Predator 2, which is a great movie.
It's a great movie.
It's a great movie, but it's not Predator. But nothing is. That's
confession.
one of those movies,
Confession: I
Go
never
ahead.
saw Predator 2.
dude. That's a fun. It's a fun watch.
But
That's
you
a
know
good
what? I
one.
do
That's a
want to
good
watch it now because the real reason why I never watched it in the first place was because everybody was telling me that it's the worst fucking movie ever made.
No.
Don't watch it. You're gonna waste your time.
No, I can give you 10.
know.
That are,
The Alien versus Predator movies are way worse.
yeah. Oh God.
And
No, and those were pretty bad.
exactly. No, those are abysmal. Speaking of PG-13, watered down sequels.
Yes.
Good God.
boy.
I saw
did-
Alien versus Predator. I was actually, this is years ago when it was out, and I was dating a girl who was just like, it's great. I'm like, you haven't seen Alien or Predator, have you? She hadn't.
Yeah.
That's why she liked it so much.
That tells you everything. You need.
You know,
Yeah.
one of the things we're getting a little sidetracked here, but
There is no, trust me. Go ahead.
But one
Go with
of
it.
the things that I love about in the first Predator is when I guess Jesse the Body Ventura gets killed, and then Bill Duke's character, he's fucking, he's going psycho because he just saw something, he doesn't know what it is, and he's scared shitless. Then he just starts shooting everything in the forest with a rattling gun and everything.
Yeah.
And all the other guys just come out of the woodwork, start shooting up the whole forest like it's like fucking, and then they unload all of their ammo, and then Schwarzenegger's just like, "What did you see?" Like it was like shoot first, ask questions later.
Exactly.
It was one of the most machismo things I've ever seen in cinema, and I loved it. I loved
That
every single
movie,
moment of it.
Predators stands on its own anyway, just because
Yeah.
it's hilarious.
Absolutely.
It's a great action movie. It's scary as fuck.
It is.
It really
You
is.
can
Like,
classify it as a horror movie.
I've seen it in the theater. I've seen it in the theater
No,
twice, and I'm like,
100%.
this actually, I feel like I'm in the jungle, and I'm actually wearing. Like I know how this movie ends, and I'm still sitting there like,
And you get Schwarzenegger quips, but better way. Oh
my God, stick around. I mean, come on, so
Son
good,
of a bitch.
so good. Dylan,
Yeah.
you son of a bitch.
Yeah. Put us in the meat grinder. and of course, we can't forget, get to the chopper. The
I mean, get to the chopper. Let's,
Can't forget about that.
insanely quotable. Insanely quotable. Now that brings me to a similar point. So when we're talking about like older Axel Foley, even older Riggs and Murtaugh,
Yeah.
it's different when you're doing something like The Expendables, where there's
Yeah,
it's very
all-star-
self-aware and there's a
all-star.
very much a wink at the audience
Yeah.
saying like, listen, we're older and we're known for playing these characters. We're just going to have fun.
Right.
But that's different because you're at least doing something new with it. And like, I loved what they did with it. Well, at least the first two. Third one's all right.
Well, what I also love what Sylvester Stallone said recently is because the fourth one is coming out.
Yes.
They just dropped the trailer.
I just saw,
yesterday.
I watched it.
He did admit that it was a horrible miscalculation to make the third one PG-13 when the first two were R. So
Right.
now they're going back to their roots.
They are. Well,
Yeah.
they're doing Expendables 3 take 2 because it's like,
Yeah.
we got a whole new crew
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
And which is fine, but
Yeah.
now
Another
it's
Mel Gibson vehicle, which I thought he did phenomenal.
well, that's another thing. Look, I want to.
It's not
I
gonna
mean,
go out.
he's a horrible person. I'm not gonna defend it. Mel Gibson's clearly a
I
horrible
didn't say anything
person.
about his personality. I said
No,
he's a
I
great
know.
actor.
Why it's one of those things like it's hard to separate. I try to, and I've memories are so long lasting.
I have, man, because Braveheart's still one of my favorite movies.
Right.
Like,
Well, no,
you
you're
see what I'm
getting kind of
saying?
quiet, and I understand. If you
Yeah,
if you have
'cause-
feelings, go ahead.
No,
But
the thing with
I'm not going to defend the guy at all. I would not shake his hand if I met him. I would.
I put Mel Gibson in the same vein the way I look at Kanye West. Honestly, God, Kanye West is
Go ahead.
Kanye West is my hero. I got into music.
What about
Anyone who
Michael
knows me-
Jackson?
And Michael Jackson, yes.
But Michael Jackson also, like, some people think he's deplorable while everybody else. loves
Exactly.
him.
But I'm able to separate the art from the person because
Okay.
I don't know the person.
Right.
And I agree with you
And-
there, and that's why I think
yeah.
we categorize Mel Gibson.
And
like,
that's what I've done with Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
Like I'm not
I
going to
gotcha.
sit here after the anti-black as well as the anti-Semitic comments
Right.
from
Yeah.
those specific groups and say that, oh yeah, I love me some Mel Gibson.
Same.
You see what I'm saying? I'm not going to do that. But at the same time, in that same vein, I'm not going to say, you know what, I can't watch Braveheart because I see it. No, it's a
Yeah.
great freaking movie. I cry at the end of it
Yeah.
every single time.
Yeah.
I know he's about to get freaking killed and dismembered and scattered across the kingdom. I
Yeah.
know that's about to happen to him. Historically speaking, that's what
Yeah.
happens to William Wallace.
Yeah.
But I still enjoy it because it's a great freaking movie. It's a great story. You know
It
what I mean?
is.
But I'm able to separate. I'm able to separate the two.
Well, and
So that's where I'm at with it.
totally, and I get that, and that's why again my positive memories are so tied to like the Lethal Weapon movies and even Maverick, which I showed to friends like 3 years ago,
Wow,
which
that's-
they
oh, wow,
hadn't
that's-
seen.
that's really
And I'm like,
good.
that's when I watched another movie like on the long list of movies I watched on HBO every time it was on when I was in like middle school. HBO and HBO2 back when those were the only options. But
HBO Zone.
Yeah.
when dinosaurs walked the earth. But HBO Zone, Jesus, yeah, this is even before that. HBO Zone, HBO Action, HBO Drama,
Tales from
HBO
the
Love.
Real signature.
HBO,
Right,
yeah,
right.
that was like the award winners, right?
Tales from the Crepe days.
I fucking love Tales of the It's a shame that's not streaming on Max.
Yeah. Well,
Why? I mean, I own all of them on DVD. Buy the stuff you like, kids, because shit can just disappear.
that's why I have
Everything
Entourage.
can
That's why I have
disappear.
every season of Entourage and Chappelle Show on DVD.
I do have Chappelle Show.
Stuff
Yeah, we
can just
talked
disappear, man.
I've got Chappelle Show. on
Now
DVD.
we know everything can just
as well as the
everything can
Lost,
just
as
leave.
well as season 3. The Lost
Yeah, like
season.
when people were mad that it was going to be taken off of Netflix or whatever, I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I have
I
two
have it on
copies.
DVD. I can watch it whenever I
I've
want.
been
Yeah.
saying that when people were like going ape shit based on like Friends in the Office. I'm like, if you love it so much, buy the complete series for like
Yeah,
$40 on DVD. And people act like DVDs are such a drag or Blu-rays. I'm like, You pop in a disc, it's got 6 episodes on it. Is it that big of a drag to get up 3 hours later and have to change a disc?
Right.
I'm so spoiled. But I'm still a big physical media buff, especially because now
I do like physical media.
Yeah, and it's so much. I've compared like the presentation to like before Heat came out on 4K, which is not a great 4K transfer. So I don't own the 4K disc, but I bought it digitally on 4K, and I was switching between inputs to compare the Blu-ray and the digital 4K, and kind of similar. So as far as I could tell, 4K streaming, at least for a movie like that, I can't say anything about anything like shot digitally now in 4K, but something like that, which was obviously rescanned and, you know, whatever Fox did when they did like that transfer. Sure. It was a negligible difference between the two. But I mean, it was $5 for the 4K. So I was just like, I'm going to buy it. And because I'm not going to say I'm the X factor in a lot of this stuff, but I was like, I'm going to buy it because this disc is never coming out. Like it was Fox upgraded that and Speed right before Disney bought them.
Yeah.
But then Speed came out, and Heat and Speed were supposed to drop the same day, I think in 2021, in like May of 2021, or maybe it was 2022. They were supposed to come out together, these Fox catalog titles, which they could have just put out because Disney didn't pay to have them done. So they're just getting money from putting these discs out. But Heat was delayed indefinitely, and Speed came out the day it was supposed to. But I'm like, okay, this disc is never coming out. I'm going to buy it digitally. And like clockwork, the next week, Heat was announced on 4K, even though the transfer is not great. But I've noticed that too, whereas an actual 4K disc, definite difference in terms of picture quality versus a Blu-ray or 4K streaming from what I've found. But I haven't compared, like I don't have something like Glass Onion because it's not on disc where I could look at it like, well, that was shot 2 years ago. Right. So you can do a comparison and just be like, oh, well, that looks pretty good, you know, the streaming version. But on top of that, shit can just disappear. Disney just is removing all this stuff. Yeah. HBO removed a bunch of stuff. And it's like, where does it go? I mean, maybe someone else will license it out. That's my thought, is like with Disney, or, you know, maybe they'll license stuff to like Peacock or like one of these other things. They'll be like, go ahead.
It'll end up somewhere.
Connor's got a thought.
So they're taking off the popular shows. What if they're secretly working on a new form of physical media to re-put their stuff?
Well,
if anything, I think they would come out with a new streaming service just for like nostalgia, like just specifically for.
I mean, that kind of is Disney Plus, though.
In a way, it is.
It really is.
In a way, it is. But what I'm saying is from top to bottom.
Right.
I'm talking about from movies to TV shows to sitcoms, the whole nine, the whole documentaries, the whole lot. I think that was. Yeah, I'm giving you guys a free idea if you guys are watching, but I think that if that isn't out now, Roku's kind of like that if you think about it. Like honestly, like the Roku channel. But I think that's in the works, or that's the next thing, because it just makes too much sense. And again, people are gonna watch. Somebody is gonna be a fan of that and be like, oh great, I could watch. I don't know, Two Broke Girls.
Yeah. for catalogs, I mean, I don't know who's going to be excited about that. You're right, somebody will. But
I love you, Ken.
I get that. But I don't know, when stuff like a lot of the Disney Plus stuff was stuff they produced, like the Willow TV show, and that just came out in November or something. So that was there for 6 months, and then it's going to be pulled. And where's it going to go? I mean, again, I guess they could license it out to another service, I suppose. But I don't know. So that's where I've been saying over and over again, like people flipping out over Chappelle's Show or like, you know, Friends or The Office or something like that. I'm like, just buy it.
When Nostalgia Plus comes out, remember that you have this
Nostalgia Plus.
Yes.
I will. That would make total sense.
I'm just saying. It just makes too much sense for that not to be.
It's true.
A thing. So
it's gonna happen, because I've been saying it for a while. Like in 5 years, let's see how many of these services are still around, because there's too many. Like my sister asked me about MGM Plus. I'm like, what's MGM Plus?
They're slowly
it exists.
They're slowly all merging. I mean, this is like the fourth version of HBO. You had HBO Go, you had HBO Max.
Right.
Now you have Max.
But they're merging Discovery Plus with Max. They got
next thing you know, it's just going to be MX.
Yeah,
MX.
It is.
No vowels.
Yeah.
But like I got a free, what was it? I got a free year of AMC Plus with something, and that included Shudder, which is a horror streaming service. And I'm like, oh, cool, because I can watch. I don't know that I've watched anything on AMC Plus in the last year-ish that I've had it. Hopefully I'm not getting charged for that. I haven't noticed. But yeah, I mean, it's already kind of sort of happening. WWE sold to Peacock. Like they're on Peacock because that was a better deal for whatever reason.
It's all about consolidation.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
I think so.
Like the mergers happen all the time.
Showtime and Paramount Plus are kind of one and the same.
Exactly.
Like if everything on Showtime's on Paramount Plus, so you don't need to subscribe to both.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's supposed to make things easier technically in terms of but I know what you're gonna say. I know what
Go
you're
ahead.
saying.
I'm listening.
Where I'm coming from with it is depending on what it is, like it's a little bit of overthinking, in my opinion, from like the executive standpoint. Because when you think about it, Max is the Time Warner thing. So then again, and Warner owns DC. So you would think that, we could just put DC original shows, cartoons, put our movies. We could just stream them on there. That's why the Batman, they couldn't wait to put that on at the time, HBO Max or whatnot. But
I'm still calling it HBO Max. Fuck it.
Max is only like a week old. So
yeah,
you're
exactly.
fine.
Yeah, it's like when they started. It's like when they started calling iTunes Apple Music. I'm like, it's iTunes.
It's still
or Apple Podcasts.
It's still
Someone
iTunes.
actually, I said, like, someone asked me about this show, and I was talking about it being on iTunes. Is it on Apple Podcasts? I'm like, whatever. Like, I've been saying iTunes for 17 years. All right, I'm not just going to pivot that quickly. Sorry.
It's still called iTunes. Believe it or not.
Yeah.
Well, the app, the program itself. But like, if you're on your iPhone, it's Apple Podcasts.
Right.
You got to
But you're
subscribe.
right, though,
So,
because you're right, but because there's been people where they say like, no, I don't have Apple Music, I have iTunes though. Same shit.
right? Yeah,
true.
that's.
Nah,
So I'm just calling HBO Max is what I'm saying.
there you go.
Yeah.
I'm not pivoting that quickly
Yeah.
because HBO Max makes sense. Max,
Let's
what
try to
is
also
it?
reel it back into the sequels.
Yeah. Sorry, we're talking about sequels. I mean, we're talking about it's all part of like a large conversation.
It's
about
all
stuff that's kinda
irrelevant,
coming out.
man,
because that's why all this stuff is coming out. I mean, a lot of the stuff. I mean, Coming to America was in theaters. I don't know for how long. I don't know if that was that simultaneously when it was on Prime or was it out before?
I wasn't even
don't
aware.
remember.
I wasn't even aware that it was in theaters because it was.
I don't think it was in theaters.
Wasn't it all?
It was strictly.
I thought it had a short.
No, it was an Amazon.
It was strictly marketed as
Yeah.
as Amazon.
Where?
Okay.
It just came out on Prime.
Okay, no, I didn't.
I think Jeff
I don't
Bezos was too
remember.
greedy for it.
I don't think he's making any decisions when it comes to the day to day for the company. I think whoever's in charge. Again, everything's
I'm just putting a face
overthinking.
to the whoever.
Oh no, well you have to. That's it. It's like
Yeah.
whoever's in charge. It's easy to be like, that's the Lex Luthor of
Yes.
2-day free delivery.
Amazon is a new Skynet. Mark my words.
I don't know. I think Apple was way ahead of the curve with that,
Yeah, I'm
especially
with
with
you
this,
on that.
especially with this big mask. I don't know about that. I feel like Apple is way more. I mean, designed by a control freak. Let's be honest. Steve Jobs is a control freak. That's why everything's
great movie,
so.
by the way, Michael Fassbender was incredible in that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
No, I never saw it.
You never saw it?
I never saw that. I never saw the Ashton Kutcher one. Don't care.
I've-
Never saw the Social Network either. Don't care.
No.
Okay.
But
Well, I'm
the-
just saying.
no.
Like, there's some true stories I care about, and a lot of them I don't.
Gotcha.
And that's one.
Michael Fassbender is a good. He's a
I
good
know he's a
actor.
great actor,
It
but I
was a
also
great
sat
movie. It was a
through
great
2
movie.
subpar Alien sequels that he was in, so I don't know.
That doesn't count.
Yeah, it totally counts.
doesn't count.
It does.
But
But see, and there's
is that about Prometheus?
Prometheus and Alien, whatever it's called.
Covenant.
Yes, thank you. Instantly forgettable.
Yeah, Prometheus is pretty bad.
Prometheus is
I
really
went to
bad.
theaters to see that too.
I did too. I saw fucking both of those movies in theaters. So I'm like, this is gonna be great. It wasn't. I've been burned by sequels that have taken too long to come to the big screen, is what I'm saying. But
And that's how we bring it back.
I don't know exactly. But I really feel like now, again, because everyone's in the same way streaming services, like everybody wants to be the new Netflix. Like what? People are watching movies at home. Well, that's when all these streaming services started.
Yeah.
Now that Top Gun Maverick makes $1 billion, everyone's going to be like, what can we do? I mean, it's, I'm sure, especially 80s property. And then talk about doing a Goonies sequel for ages. And I just don't
Jesus
know if that's
Christ.
gonna, well, they're like, now it's the
already
original
done it.
Goonies with their kids.
They've already done it with Stranger Things. They've
I
already
mean,
done it.
and I agree with that.
Literally the same thing.
I agree. Even though it takes place at the same time.
They're not even trying to hide
Yeah.
like it's the same thing. So it's like, but again, the CGI is what the game changer was for Top Gun. It was.
Oh,
It
yeah,
was,
because
like,
they're
you-
able to-
You can't overlook that. You see what I'm saying? Like,
Oh,
the
I'm
ti-
sure that what they can do now.
Yeah.
The technology's caught up with the ambition.
it-
Well,
it-
not just that. I just think that
it's I'm just saying it's a factor. I'm not saying it's the leading thing. But go ahead.
Gotcha. No, I was just gonna say that I truly believe that the second one is a superior film to the first one. Because first of all, I never thought that the first one was all that great anyway.
Yeah, me too.
It was like straight up 80s cheese. It was a little too homoerotic for my taste.
It was a little too rah military.
Yeah.
And every 8 seconds, dun 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 dun.
Oh,
It's like,
I was-
really? How many times do we need? It's like the Transformers movie where "You Got the Touch" plays every other scene.
It was like
Why?
It was like Hugo with his drops. That's what it was. That's what it was like.
The drops come in when they need to come in.
I know,
That's a
right?
terrible Ric Flair.
At least they need to come in when they need to. That song, no, didn't need to. It was
Yeah, that's why. It's like he's opening the refrigerator door. Like, why? We don't need to hear "Take My Breath Away." Like the dude's just getting a glass of milk.
I mean, are we going to talk about Avatar?
No.
Because it falls in line
We don't have
with
to.
what you're saying.
And how so? I mean, that's the sequel that took way too long. Where I was like, does anybody going to care?
That we talked about that in detail. I still haven't seen it. I am going to see it. I'm going to make time to watch it.
Well, now it's on Disney Plus.
Yeah, it's on Disney Plus.
It is Disney Plus.
Got an excuse now.
I do. I got a life. I'm not giving up another 3 hours to Avatar. Avatar's the second movie I walked out on.
I enjoyed it because I watched it in IMAX 3D.
I did too, and I walked out an hour and a half in. I had such a raging fucking headache.
With the fact that it's Dancing with Wolves.
And Fern Gully, and oh my God, we had to break that to Ash, your co-host, right?
We broke that down.
Shout out to Ash.
Yes.
Yeah, shout out to Ash LaRue. Like, oh my God, it is. I've seen Fern Gully. I'm like, it's Fern Gully. She's like, oh my God, it's Fern Gully, isn't it? I'm like, yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
It is.
It's Pocahontas.
But it's like, it's blue.
You just keep going.
It is. It's just blue cats and bird dinosaurs, and I just didn't care. I'm just like, I'm so not into this.
It's basically Fern Gully with a Titanic budget. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Totally. And then the second one is
Dances
God
with
knows
Wolves
what.
with,
Dances with Wolves. Yeah. The Way of Wet. I don't care.
Fucking
I don't care about the blue
Last
cats.
Samurai.
Probably.
Yeah.
I don't know. I saw the trailer on, I think John Wick 4 had the Avatar trailer, and I'm like, fuck this. Not that I was in anyway, based on not liking and ever seeing the second half of the
But
what
about another sequel that's about to come out, the Indiana Jones sequel?
I'm excited about that.
See, that's another one where I feel like
excited.
now they can do it because, again, the CG, the de-aging technology. I think it looks good. People are criticizing it, but like we all know, Harrison Ford's 80.
No, sometimes you need to. You couldn't make The Irishman without it.
Absolutely.
You just couldn't. I sat through it and I was like, yeah, this needed this.
I'm glad this is happening now.
And I'm glad.
And that I saw in theaters too. Like I saw that.
It came on Netflix and I devoted 2 days.
That was a month before. See, that's why.
Oh my God, I forget which host said this on one of the awards, but they were saying, "Oh, by the way, Martin Scorsese's here. I want to congratulate you on the first season of The Irishman." I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah, well done.
I loved it.
Probably Jimmy Kimmel.
Probably.
That sounds like a Jimmy Kimmel.
It does.
It does because Jimmy Fallon's not funny or clever, so that wasn't him.
No, all he does is just pretend to laugh.
He has exaggerated laughter at everything everyone says. Like,
oh my God, I think I got a burp. That's what he does.
Fucking can't stand it.
It annoys me.
It does too. Yeah. And we say this as hosts. Yeah, we don't have an NBC budget, but doesn't matter.
Green screen in the back there, man.
Give us that.
This is actually Uma Thurman. She's actually here.
Yeah.
All her glory.
She is. She's doing it.
She
Yeah.
has de-aged. Yeah.
Yes.
We got de-aging technology working right now. Shared Universe has the budget that we're actually able to like de-age.
She doesn't need it. She's not.
I was literally looking at the back of your neck.
Did you? You're like, that looks
for a brief second.
That looks awesome.
Good job on the engineer.
I know.
That's a testament to how good.
Shout out to Connor.
Job.
Yeah. He doesn't do drops, but goddamn, can he set up a green screen?
Yes, he can.
So that's right.
Follow Connor at LinkedIn.
Follow Connor on
Yes.
LinkedIn. He does. He needs the engagement. No videos up there, but a couple of pictures of him wearing different suits. So also central casting. Check out Connor on LinkedIn.
Ready for work.
He's ready for work.
Hashtag ready for work.
That better be your subtitle. Can you put a subtitle like a quote?
I got this green thing around the circle.
Yeah, exactly. Yep,
What does that mean?
Yep.
I haven't used LinkedIn in years.
Hashtag ready for work.
Is that
it's
yeah?
It's on LinkedIn. Yeah. If you're looking,
I'm young and I'm home. Down for it.
I'm young, I'm hungry, I'm down for anything. I met a lot of people in LA who are like that. They did porn.
or blow, or both.
I mean, one beget the other, if I'm being honest.
I'm leaning towards both.
Maybe. Listen, if this all goes belly up, it's never too late. This whole podcasting thing doesn't work out. Or a short film, etc. We'll see.
It's the only thing that'll be going up.
Whoa. You heard it here.
Savage.
This is the only podcast. Actually, our podcast is the only one that's not sponsored by Blue Chew. So I guess if we're going to pivot to porn, we're going to have to work on that. Because every other fucking podcast is Squarespace and Blue Chew. So
And Manscaped.
That's right.
Manscaped sponsors everybody.
They
man.
do.
Yeah.
They do. And that's actually something I use out of those three.
Yeah,
so there
exactly.
we go.
Listen, I actually use one, and this is not.
I do too.
I'm not
too.
bugging. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not.
No, he's
bugging.
happily spoken for. So everybody calm down. All right?
Who's that we spoke for?
Somebody.
Yeah.
I wish, man. They need to send us shit, but they're like, he's buying it. We're not going to send him anything.
I wish I
Like,
could show
we're
you
making
the
money
logo.
off
I
this.
wish I
dude.
could show you the logo of the sweater I'm wearing, but
You could shout out Hackensack Brewing.
yeah, shout out to
Company.
Hackensack Brewing Company. Anyway,
That's it. Yeah. That's all they get.
that's all.
Look up Hackensack Brewing Company, Hackensack, New Jersey. Yeah. It's like we can't see. It's getting keyframed out. Like the color's not showing up. Like you can show. Yeah, exactly. The logo's not working because it's yellow.
Like the T200.
It was all yellow. It's a T200.
That's what it looks like. It's like
T200.
What's the T200?
T1000. My
Oh, okay. That's why I was like, what?
What do you,
Like his Arnold was a T800. Yeah. Like what was that? A vacuum cleaner? Like what was a T200?
Well, T2i is a camera. That's a Canon camera.
I know you're just showing off.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's like Manscaped,
now
T2i.
Now you're just flexing.
Yeah, he is.
T1000 from Terminator.
T1000, yes, it's the liquid Terminator. Yeah, exactly. That, but that's why I was like, what's a T200? Like, I may have missed that. That may have been like Salvation. It could have been a throwaway reference. And I'm like,
it was in
Listen to
Terminator
me very
Genesis.
carefully.
well, it could have been in Genesis. See, I didn't hit. See, there's another one. Like they kept trying to make Terminator sequels and it didn't pan out.
Oh, they just. Yeah.
Although I liked.
Some are good.
I get
Some are good.
why.
I enjoyed some of them.
See, I'll say this. I like Terminator Genesis because it felt well. Hang on. Now that was another one where we're like, it's PG-13. Ah, damn it. Not that it had to be R, because the unrated version of Terminator Salvation, I was like, okay, they tried to do something different. It didn't have to be R because it wasn't like hyper violent or anything. But they did have what was essentially the R-rated version. I mean, it was literally an R-rated version on the DVD and Blu-ray, and I was like, okay, yeah, there's not too much of a difference, but like just because it was R doesn't mean it's going to be good. Like not everything's going to be like Deadpool, where it's like, well, it's got to be R, or Logan, where it's like, well, this is the only way this movie can be made. But Genesis, I'm like, I don't know about that. But I will give it up for that movie for the reason that it was the first time in a long time where the Terminators actually felt threatening. Yeah. Like not since the first movie where it had like a horror element where it's just like, oh, these fucking robots are going to come after you and like really kill you. Like at the beginning when they're getting chased by that one through that eventually gets melted by like lava or whatever it is. It's just like, oh shit, like this is actually like a scary Terminator that's going after. Like you didn't really have that in Terminator 3 or Terminator Salvation. So like I did like that it was at least it felt like there's something deadly going on as opposed to like Terminator 3 is fun for what it is.
I don't know.
You know,
I personally thought I was watching a joke.
Yeah. I get the criticism. I'm not going to defend like the silly parts.
And listen,
like, if at the end they're trying to defeat this thing, why are they walking through this headquarters? Like they're really just walking around setting up bombs instead of running because Skynet needs to be destroyed. Like why are they taking the time?
And I'm not usually one of these people that only listens to everybody else to see if it's a good or a bad movie. I like to be the arbiter of that. But I just remember watching Genesis and like in the first 25 minutes of the movie, I was like, oh, this is not going to be good. I could just tell. It just wasn't vibing for me for whatever.
Okay.
reason.
See, I like that they went a different way with it, where it's like, oh, I've seen the beginning of this before. Oh no, it takes a turn. Oh, this is a different version. Okay.
Yeah.
I like the way it started, but
that's them just trying to make up for Rise of the Machines and the disaster it was.
See, again, I think it's fun. It's not a great movie.
I actually enjoy that better than Genesis.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I enjoy 3. A bunch of people, same thing. They haven't seen 3 because they're just like, I don't think it's gonna be good. I'm like, and Dark Fate was awful though.
Never
like
even,
that last one. Don't bother. Oh my god, that was another one. I went saw on IMAX, not in 3D, and I had such a headache because it was so like CGI fueled.
Was that the last?
Yes, that was the one. It's like, oh, Linda Hamilton and a CGI kid Edward Furlong. I was like, let's see how this goes. It was not good, and it's also something where it's like, okay, you've created another Sarah Connor is all you've done. Like they got the Latina chick who's. They are. Movie posters now are just very on theme. Like every poster now that has a big cast just looks like the Infinity War poster. Yeah. In the same way, like it's got the orange tint.
Look at the Expendables poster.
Yeah.
Perfect example.
Yeah.
Exactly.
True. Yeah. 3. Yeah. I'm like, can you keep those up real quick? We can just go
please.
Through, we can just go through them. Yeah. Rise of the Machine was awful. That's the one with like the chick is like the Terminator, right? Oh god. Yeah. That was bad.
The chick from Blood Rain.
Yeah. That was really bad.
See, I thought that's her name. I mean, again, I look at it as just like, that was a fun movie. It's not a great movie, but like I had fun with it, but it does not hold up.
I think the only thing that I enjoyed about that movie was just the action, just not the story, the characters, whatever. I just thought it had really great action, especially at a time where action movies were still doing practical and not heavily relying on CGI. Like there was actually real cars and buildings actually getting
shit
exploded.
getting blown up. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you mentioned cars. We're not going to talk about the car movie. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do it.
I know exactly what you're talking
about. Which car movie? We talk about a 10-film franchise about cars? We're not talking about that.
Not the one by Pixar.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's another one with diminishing returns on the sequels.
I'm all for Lightning McQueen, but we're not going to talk about the other car series.
I'm not. I've never seen them. I've never seen a single one.
Me neither.
So, really? Oh my God, we're the only two people.
No.
watched.
Let me. I stopped at the third one.
Shit.
Yeah.
Wait, so you did see the third one?
Yeah. I sat,
Okay,
no,
so
I didn't go to theater to see any of them. I just downloaded them and watched them on my laptop. And
That's
when
still-
then when I got to the third one, I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Hope the feds,
I was like, I can't.
hope the feds ain't watching.
I can't do this. Yeah, exactly. I can't do this anymore. This is bad.
I don't know. See, that's I don't
You're
know.
not
See,
missing a
You're not
damn
missing
Oh,
thing.
I'm sure. I know everybody says like, oh,
You're
but
missing
they're great. They're
nothing.
just dumb fun. I'm
No,
like, they're
no,
dumb.
no.
I know they're dumb, but I think it's interesting like that those movies are still going, even though now they're like Fast 10, the beginning of the end, and they're supposedly doing 2 more. I'm like, why do we need 12 films?
Yeah, here we are saying we weren't going to talk about it, but now we're talking about
No,
it.
well, I mean,
Stop
listen,
making
we don't
them.
need to. Well, they're never going to stop. This Universal superhero franchise,
Yeah.
because that's what they are. They're superhero movies. They did a pivot around 5 to heist movies.
Yeah.
And then they just became super movies where it's like there's no consequences in any of these movies. Like we're just gonna keep
And it's
cars in space, whatever.
And it's funny because we're talking about sequels.
Mhm.
Those are sequels that did not take too long to, follow after another. But
Right.
they still had that same dreading feeling like, why?
They make money. That's
Yeah,
why.
that's it. They make money,
As
dude.
long as they keep making
I'm telling you.
billions in the
Yeah.
box office
Although
worldwide, they're
I'll,
not
I'll
gonna
say
stop
this:
making
I do
Hey,
find
listen,
it.
cocaine is bad for you, but it still makes money. So
them. There you go. There you have it.
yeah.
There you have
I
it.
do have to laugh. I mean, we all know why. Paul Walker's not in those movies after 7.
Yeah.
But I do have to laugh that there was an observation somebody made in light of this one coming out, the 10th one, that
It came out.
in saying that like so somewhere that character is just living his life while all this other shit's going on and nobody talks about him. Nobody, the idea that like that character is alive
His
somewhere.
wife
in this
is
world.
there, but where is he?
Exactly. Like nobody talks about him. He doesn't show up. He's not involved. And like, yes, we all know why,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But it is kind of funny. Like we're just going to ignore this character's existence. But anyway, no, we don't need to talk about those because I knew like this movie's not for me. I remember people going to see that first one and like peeling out of the fucking parking lot, and I'm just, it's like, will you stop it? Okay, you have a Jetta.
Yeah.
Okay, you don't need
have a-
to peel out of the movie theater parking
You
lot
have a
just because
Hon-
you saw.
You have a Honda Civic. Like, there's no reason for you to be peeling.
Yeah,
anything.
no ground effects, no spoiler, nothing. You have a beat ass Honda Civic.
What's that?
You need the NOS though.
You need all kind of shit.
If you have the NOS,
You need a $20 million budget. Is what you
especially-
need for
and
your
especially-
car.
And especially being here in Jersey where they have potholes, that's not going to
Yeah, like,
fly either.
where
Yeah,
are you
exactly.
going? Where? I'd like to know.
Yeah.
Parkway North, Parkway South,
Yeah,
or the
that's
mechanic. Like,
And I grew up down the shore, so you weren't making any kind of time going anywhere. So you're just idling at the red light.
they ever
you ride
shot
on
one,
lawnmower.
if they ever shot one of those movies in Jersey,
We need to do it.
half of the movie would be tolls.
We need to do it.
The other half would be.
We need to do
potholes.
it. Slow it down to 35 to go
And
through
then
an
they
easy
would have-
pass lane.
And then they'll have a scene with DJ Pauly D behind the 1 and 2s.
Yeah.
Just
No.
'cause. Just
Oh my
'cause.
God. Ugh.
it's just be Vinny complaining about how much he's spending in tolls.
Fast Jersey Shore.
Oh my God. We're gonna write our own. We're gonna write our own car movie, Jersey Shore based car movie.
Yeah.
We get to be the elders. We get to work in the show. We're gonna run a garage with the 3 of us. I think that's gonna be our thing. We're gonna run the garage and we'll get some youngins to be in there. Yeah, the family garage.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Speaking of which, in the last Fast and Furious movie, somebody actually counted down the amount of times they say family in the movie. You won't
And how
believe-
many
You won't believe the number.
Is it more F's than Wolf of Wall Street? That's the only reason
Yeah,
I'll be
no,
impressed.
no.
Okay.
Great movie, by the way.
Yeah, great
Oh,
movie.
well, yeah.
What about 54?
56.
Oh wow!
56.
Oh, that was the closest without
That's
going
nice.
over.
Put that on your LinkedIn as
Connor
well.
wins the showcase showdown. That is good.
Put that in your LinkedIn as well.
Yeah,
Get some
exactly.
numbers.
Really funny, like 20-second long video. It's a bunch of Vin Diesel impersonators, and it's just them saying family. Family. It's so funny. And there's like black versions. There's like Hispanic.
Oh
Oh
God!
my
Nice.
God.
Diesel. It's so funny.
It's
I'd
just
rather
not
him
good.
say I am Groot more than family at this point.
Come on, man. I'm over it.
Okay, here's a controversial opinion
Yeah.
that again I get pushback on, and take that franchise out of it
Mhm.
because not his franchise.
Okay.
I say The Rock doesn't make good movies. It's hard to point to a movie and just be like, "Yeah, that was good." It's not though.
Well,
Like-
okay, you go first.
I know people
Because-
love. I know people
No, no,
love
no.
Fast 5 and 6. I don't know if he's in any beyond those, but
You go first because I think
But-
you're going to say a version of what I'm going to say. But go ahead.
All
Well,
right.
all right, because the thing is that
he's in a lot of movies. But I mean,
he's in a lot of movies. I
when
really,
he headlines, sorry, I should specify when he headlines movies. An ensemble like Jumanji, totally serviceable family movie. But I'm talking like movies where it's like Dwayne Johnson is Skyscraper or like Central Intelligence or shit like that. You didn't you?
I was in DR. I watched that.
So
that's not an excuse.
did you watch Baywatch in theaters too?
No,
that's the shit I'm talking about. Pain and Gain and well, no, that's what I'm saying. Like movies where like he's the headliner. I'm not talking about like Jumanji or something.
Scorpion. Yeah.
That's not a good movie though. We all know it's not a good movie. That's what I'm saying. That started it all.
So,
go ahead.
All right. So my thing with Dwayne Johnson is that I don't think that he makes great movies. I agree with you. I really don't enjoy the majority of the movies that he's in. But he also has that thing where he's not a terrible actor, because at least you could feel like he's putting some kind of effort into the role.
Totally.
It's definitely centered around his character, like his physique and his mannerisms, so on and so forth. But there's a sense of charisma about him that actually is a good selling point.
I agree.
Yeah, but like you take somebody like Vin Diesel or I can't think of any other person right now, but they just really phone it in. Like, not only does the movie get
the whole cast, right?
Yeah, basically like not
they're all just kind of there.
Like
getting paychecks.
Not only are they in a bad movie, but their performances didn't help either. At least you could say that with Dwayne Johnson movies, like whether it's like Skyscraper or San Andreas, you actually feel sympathetic for his character in some way, shape, or form. And I think that's basically a part of the selling point of, well, I'm not the biggest Dwayne Johnson fan in the world. That's enough for me to go, pay $14 or $15 to see a movie of his. Depending on what it's all about.
Well, his movies are led by action. He's an action star.
Yeah,
he's not just the highest paid actor.
He's the new
world.
Arnold.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So just off that metric, you just can't. I don't measure him and measure his ability as an actor with the quote unquote top tier guys. Like I just don't, because his movies, you don't go to a Dwayne Johnson movie to watch him act. It's not why you go to one. No, you go to watch him beat people up. Yeah. And get beat up occasionally, but then in the end, beat the shit out of somebody. Totally. That's what you go to see him.
Because you're going to see Dwayne Johnson. You're not going to see the character he's
exactly.
playing.
You're really still going to see The Rock, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to honestly, yes.
Yeah.
So, you're not going to see the gorilla in Rampage.
Right.
That's the shit I'm talking about. Movies like that where I'm like...
So like the quality of the movie, I think, is relevant, honestly, when it just because he is an action star.
Yes,
he is the Arnold of our time.
Yes,
unequivocally. You can't dispute that, because at one time Arnold was the highest paid actor in Hollywood. So it's like, going in off of what you're saying, you're right, but it doesn't matter.
And I also think that some people, I think in some cases it may feel like it's too much Dwayne Johnson, because I can't think of another person that would be his competition. Like back then, it was all about either Stallone or Schwarzenegger. If Dwayne Johnson is Schwarzenegger, he doesn't have his Stallone. There's no actor.
Yeah, you're right. There's no counterpoint to like who was the other action star. There kind of isn't one.
So I think that's why it feels like it's a little bit of overkill with him.
I think so, but. When I look at movies, like Rampage, or like San Andreas, or Skyscraper, it's just like they're all kind of interchangeable. Where I'm like, I don't know.
He's fighting a building, or he's fighting a giant ape, or he's fighting a building,
or he's clinging.
Fighting what was he fighting?
Occasionally he clings to Kevin Hart.
He fights Vin Diesel.
Fight Christopher Walker in Rundown.
Oh wow, that's a great
that's a good movie though. Like I actually enjoyed that movie,
good, yeah.
And even Arnold acknowledging he's going to be the next action star. Have fun. That's actually a fun movie.
I really enjoyed that movie,
and I feel like that movie is an underappreciated movie from that era, because it's fun. Again, it's exactly what I wanted. It's a quippy movie where it's actually an adventure where you're just like, oh, okay, how are these guys going to get out of this situation?
Right. And I've always had a crush on Rosario Dawson. So
oh my God.
Listen, none of us is going to argue that. So her presence alone carries most movies. But
her and what was it? What's the Nick Cage? What's the one?
You have a crush on Nick Cage?
No.
Happy Pride, Hugo.
Scott.
I'm talking about the Luke Cage. Oh God! How do I get Nicolas Cage with Luke Cage? She was in Luke Cage, and I was like, "Yeah, that was great casting." Yeah. Nick Cage with Luke Cage.
I know. I mean, that's
the reason why his name is Nick Cage, because his real name is Coppola.
Yeah, Nicholas Coppola, but he took
But he took
Cage because he didn't want to be associated with Francis Ford Coppola.
and he got it from Luke Cage.
You knew
the
that,
comic
though.
books.
I did not know that.
You did not know that?
Ah.
Get the fuck out of here.
The only like major name change that I just know is Jamie Foxx. That's not his real name.
No, it's not.
It's let's look. Could you look it up?
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely not his name.
No, Eric Bishop. is
There you
Jamie
go,
Foxx's
Eric
name.
Bishop.
Yeah,
that's
there
it.
you go.
That's it,
Yes,
Eric Bishop.
yes.
There's a bunch of people like that. There's so many of them. Walter Bruce Willis. Bruce is his middle name. Eric Marlon Bishop.
Willard Smith instead of Will Smith.
Yeah. There's a lot of them. Something to say.
Kendrick Duckworth instead of Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lamar's his
Well,
middle
Kendrick
name.
Lamar is like me. We our stage names.
Oh,
are first
I
and
need to hear
last.
this. Kendrick Lamar's like me. No, go ahead.
No. As far as our names is concerned.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, because his middle name is Lamar and his first name is Kendrick. Meanwhile, Jason Enrique is my first and middle name.
Well, then that, I figured as much, which is good.
Yeah, people don't
Makes
want,
sense.
Yeah, people don't want my last name.
Well, it's fine. Well, it's same. Believe it or not, U-Goboy is not the name in his birth certificate.
No, it is not.
No, it's not.
If you, so I don't fault it. I have no issue with that. Listen, there's a guy named Reggie who everybody knows as Elton John.
Or Redman.
There's a lot of them. Yeah. What?
Reggie Noble.
It's not his real name.
Reggie Noble.
Wait a minute. You say RZA his initials at least? Do we have something? Anything?
DMX's real name is Ernest.
Yeah. Well, again, it's,
No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
No.
Or, I'm sorry, Earl. I'm sorry,
Earl
Earl.
Simmons.
Earl. Yeah. That's
Are you
right.
thinking of Childish Gambino?
No.
Because his
It's
name was
very
Ern-
hip hop in here. All of a
His name was
sudden.
Ern on Atlanta. Yeah.
that
Yeah,
name
nobody
is-
uses their real names in hip hop. No rappers use their real names. Let's be honest. Everybody's got a pseudonym or stage name, which is fine. I have nothing against the stage name thing. I'm taking my whole family down with me, so I kept my name. Sorry. Apologies to my many cousins.
Yeah, I kind of lost what we were.
We're talking about movies and shit.
Yeah,
Who
Dwayne
knows?
Johnson, there we
Forget
go.
it. Yeah,
Dwayne
it's like
Johnson
Dwayne Johnson.
movies.
How about it? Jamie Foxx. People changing names.
No,
Nick
but-
Cage. Oh yeah, so you didn't know that? Yeah, Nicholas
No.
Coppola.
No, I
Yeah.
didn't.
He's
I
a
didn't know that.
nephew, cousin, somebody of Francis Ford Coppola, but he didn't want to go out and it's post Godfather in the early '80s. He didn't want to go out and have Coppola on there and use nepotism, so he changed the name to Nick Cage.
Still use
and
it.
I'm pretty sure that.
Yeah, well,
and I'm pretty sure that Francis wanted to be like, yeah, that's my nephew by marriage.
he didn't know he was going to become Nicolas fucking Cage,
know.
though. I mean, had he known, he would have been like, "Get this kid in movies. I want to see him in pictures."
Yeah.
He doesn't talk like that. Francis Ford Coppola does not talk like that.
would've known
Another
he-
revelation. That's 2 revelations in 1 week, because you did not know Newman's Own was Paul Newman's company.
Wow.
Which is wild.
I had no clue. I just knew the pizza was good.
I mean, because we're
great.
debating frozen pizza. This,
Oh man.
I think, if we're being, I may have to put out a heavily edited version of that podcast because we did a. And by the way, everybody, let us know, like in the comments or on social media, something like that. Let us know if you want to hear it, because I am considering putting it out during the show's hiatus. That we did a, let's call it Bravery After Dark. So we went out last weekend for, it was the 3 of us plus Marv, of course, Lash LaRue, Jason's co-host, Ash Lazoo, Matt Zaytoon, and Mind Mix.
Yeah.
And we all went out to dinner and had a great time, had a few drinks, went back to Bravery Studios, and proceeded to podcast for like 3 hours, where we got progressively more and more buzzed. Some more so than others.
Yeah, for sure.
And because it's 3 hours, it probably have to be edited down and released in at least 2 parts, maybe 3, just to make it palatable. Because I feel like we carried on, every one of us carried on for a really long time.
There's some gem clips.
There
in
are some gems in there. Well, Marv,
yeah, for sure.
I know Marv said he was going to give it to me. I don't know if he's going to. I mean, he said he was going to give it to everybody, but I know he said he was going to put it in my folder.
Check your
Dropbox folder.
Check your Dropbox. It's
I would,
Should
yeah,
be there. Should be there.
but
there. No,
I mean,
trust me, it
I
is.
would put it out, because this is. It's kind of as most like an episode of my show, because you guys do very like straightforward traditional shows, and my show is just not traditional. Yeah, mine's just a bunch of puppies on meth. Yeah, that's kind of what this show is. Puppies on meth. There's a bunch of taglines for this show in 2023.
So
It
yeah,
kind of does.
Off the tongue, low-key.
It
Some
does.
merchandise for it,
Puppies on meth. Embrace the chaos. Just because you can have you can do a podcast doesn't mean you should. There's a few of them that have come about recently.
Sometimes it be your own people.
Yeah.
I was in tears.
Sometimes-
I was in tears. What is that from? What is that from?
I think it was a meme somewhere.
I gotta ask him.
And you-
I have to ask him.
No,
'Cause
no,
I was looking for it.
Knowing Matt,
and
how
you
he is
called
with
that
the
back.
internet, yeah.
You called that back in that tweet. I
Yes.
said-
Knowing Matt and how he is with the internet, he had to have he missed.
That's from
When I-
something.
when
He was-
I
he must
see-
have saw it on
was calling
TikTok or
back.
Yes,
something.
when I see him, he's got to tell me.
He's gotta explain.
Because I Google searched it and I couldn't find it at all. Like, at all. So I was like, wait a minute, I've heard this in a movie, or I've heard this on a TV show.
I feel like
Where's
I heard
It's
this
in the
on-
lexicon. Where did it come from?
yes,
Yeah, I
yeah,
agree. That was
yeah.
something I'm like,
I
oh my
definitely
God, what
feel
a
like I
great
heard it
pull. Where did it
somewhere.
come from?
Yes.
Nah, he'll know.
Anyway,
He'll know.
we did the show, and we didn't, in the course of talking about like what's the best frozen pizza was one of the many topics that came up over the course of it. I think it like legit was 3 hours. Like we just kind of went on and
It was
on.
just
I think
one
we
big-
called it a night at like 1 a.m.,
It was just
1:30.
one big convoluted.
It was a big
mess.
clusterfuck.
Yeah.
Well, I refer to it as Bravey Stew's clusterfuck, but for sake of keeping it clean, Bravey After Dark. But
It was certainly.
It was great.
It was the definition of a clusterfuck.
it was a clusterfuck for sure. Like I called it right at the beginning because I did the intro in my trailer voice. But
got
yeah, we talked about the frozen
resources.
pizza thing, and you saying Newman's Own, and us talking about Paul Newman, and yeah, Ugo didn't know that it was Paul Newman's Own was Newman's company.
Then
all
I asked
profit
if
charity
like,
and everything.
was
and-
you sure it's Paul Newman and not Randy Newman?
Yeah, and
it's
it definitely was Paul Newman. So I sent him a photo like the next day. I was at the store and I sent him Paul Newman's. I was like it was a lemonade. And I took the picture. I was like, here you go. The more you know gift, just to be an asshole.
100%.
Because I want to be on brand.
I'm here for it.
But,
I'm here for it. They make
That was
great-
so
they
two
make great-
revelations
they
you
make-
did not know.
They make great pizza.
Because
That's
I
awesome.
agree. If I have to get a frozen pizza, like I said, it's usually that they do make
Same,
good pizza.
Right.
So yeah, I think we've done it. How long we've been here?
In about an hour and a half.
It's been an hour and a half. Well, I mean, minus there was a ladder in the background, all kind of shit going on. So it's probably we got an hour for sure. Not to say we can't continue to talk about movies. We absolutely can. But we covered a lot of ground. I mean, do you guys have any point you want to bring? Because I've been very much like
Well, I just want
got
to
my
bring
access to grind.
Well,
here.
I did want to bring a great point. That,
Go ahead.
And I love this conversation that you had with Marv on your show. Shout out to Marv from Bravery Studios.
Bravery up.
I love.
It's like Pavlov's dog. Bravery Studios, bravery up.
I just love you guys made so much great salient points about how like when you guys were talking about comedy movies and
Yes.
how they're automatically brought to streaming services. Because I remember there was a time where
You did talk to me. Go ahead.
I did. I remember a time where everybody was excited to see this new Jim Carrey movie that was coming out called Liar Liar, and it made so much money. It was #1 at the box office at the time.
Yeah.
Word of mouth and all the promos and everything. People were craving for it. They couldn't wait to go out and see this movie for the weekend. So
Totally.
everybody can be in the same theater and laugh their asses off. And even though nobody knows each other's name except for the people that you're there with, it was all one great big experience. And that's completely lost. And specifically with comedies, and it kind of goes back to what we were saying about sequels, like Coming to America. Just being labeled as a comedy, it's now seems like it's more fitting for the streaming sites as opposed to a movie theater. I would have seen it in a movie theater.
Right.
And I don't know if I would have enjoyed it as more, but I think it definitely lost its luster being released as a streaming film. And you have you may have a terrible movie that came out last year like Me Time with Kevin Hart and Mark Wahlberg, horrible comedy. But the point that I'm getting at is that if we were still living in that time where people still wanted to go see a comedy, clamoring for it, like a $25 million, $30 million budget film, not nothing expensive,
Right.
but two marketable stars like Mark Wahlberg and Kevin Hart. 10, 15 years ago, people would have been clamoring to see that movie, even though if it was a piece of shit or not, but it would have made money off of the strength of those two stars. Now, it's basically, I feel like because of the fact that it's now on Netflix or any of these streaming stuff, not only is it a terrible comedy overall, but it actually it's even brought down to the lowest denominator because of the fact that it's automatically brought on a streaming service, not even giving it a chance to be in the movie theater.
I agree. The studio comedy, unfortunately, is like a bygone era.
Yes.
I mean, there were a
1000%.
couple because there were, and I put it as
I mean, is Rush Hour 4 going to come out on Netflix now instead of the movie theater?
Honestly,
Probably.
Honestly, they'd be wise to do at least a brief theatrical release because I'm gonna go if it's in theaters for a week. I'll make time. I'll go for a week to go watch it because I actually enjoyed the Rush Hour series.
Right.
That's just me.
and there's another one like this. How much later are we going to do a Rush Hour
Yeah.
movie? And Jackie Chan 65.
Exactly.
Yeah, because let's not
Yeah,
forget,
you know.
Rush Hour 3 came out in 2008, 2009, and we're in
Yeah,
2023 now.
I
Yeah.
saw it in theaters. I think it was 07 because I saw I saw it in theaters in California visiting my godfather. And I
okay.
was just like, this is too funny. But
And even that, like, yeah, and there's something to be said for, in my opinion, when it comes to comedies. I put seeing a comedy in the theater. I'd say The other genre I would say counts is horror, but there's also a lot of throwaway horror movies that get released these days.
Especially in January and February.
Oh, God, yeah. I hit that thing again. I sunk. Oh, my God. I was like, fuck, quicksand. Sorry. That's going to look hilarious on film, though. Chris is making, that's going to be
the intro.
That's going to be the cold open for the trailer.
Yeah.
Because I don't mind putting myself in the barrel. Why not?
This week on CAPE.
It was very,
Yes, exactly. You
it was
know.
very Super Mario.
I got to put that
With
pipe
the sound,
in.
with the sound effect too.
I have to put the pipe in there. That's
what we
excellent.
do.
I got to put
This
the
is what we
pipe sound
do.
in there. It will. It's that's how I cut video. Anyway, I feel like there's a communal experience when you go see a comedy in the theater,
yeah.
Agreed. Agreed.
like with concerts. I mean, horror movies when it's a really good horror movie, but again, those are kind of fewer and farther between these days. But I feel like when you go see a comedy, because I mean, I remember, speaking of Jim Carrey, and this is 20 years ago, if you can believe it, literally 20 years ago last month. Bruce Almighty. People were fucking going crazy for that movie and like, you have to go see this. You have to go see it. You have to go see it. And I was working in retail at the time at a big box retailer, and we sold the fuck out of that DVD as soon as it came out in like October, November. I think it came out around Christmas because it was still like a longer, I mean, it was in theaters all summer. It came out in May. I think it opened the same weekend as X2. The second X-Men movie.
I
think they opened against each other, and I feel like that only helped because X-Men was selling out, so everyone spilled over and like, this is Jim Carrey movie, let's go see that. Oh my God, it's
X-Men
really
is
funny.
sold out? Okay, let's go see Bruce Almighty instead. We're here.
Totally, yeah, let's go see that Jim Carrey movie.
Yeah.
So fast forward, it came out I think in like November for like the holiday season because DVDs in 2003 were huge. And we just kept selling out of it. So that was a movie like that had some hang time. And then fast forward, I feel like The Hangover had that, but that was 2009. That opened just I remember I saw the trailer for that the first time on Terminator Salvation. Funnily enough, but the last big studio comedies, and the last time there was like a summer comedy, because summer comedies used to be a thing. It wasn't just like tempo like action movie.
That's true.
I feel like the last summer that happened was literally 10 years ago, 2013, because there was The Heat and We Are the Millers, and they opened a couple of weeks apart. Both cleared 100 million domestically, and there were movies. People were like, "You got to go see this." Sandra Bullock, Melissa McCarthy movie. You got to go see this. We're the Millers movie. It's so fucking funny. Like those are movies people were like going on about. Like you got to go see this.
Yeah. Same thing with
and that was 10
Bosses.
years ago.
Yeah.
Horrible. Yeah, that was like 2011. Yeah, I think. That was another one. People were like, you got to go see it.
Oh yeah.
But that doesn't happen anymore, and it's a drag. It really is a shame that there aren't studio comedies because people don't go out. I can't say anything about the comedies that have come out. Like when I saw like Trainwreck. And like I'm trying to think of other like studio comedies that were like hyped up a lot. That would be
Funny People.
Similar. Yeah, but even that was 2009, so that was like still at that
yeah,
time.
right,
I mean,
right,
Judd Apatow movie. But I'm trying to think of like another movie that you look as a studio comedy like that popped in my head. But I'm trying to think if there was another one where you can point to like, oh, okay, there's a movie that's like a comedy. Maybe something like Central Intelligence, even though that wasn't like a straight up comedy really.
I did see that one.
But there's so many movies that come out that like people just don't go see them, unfortunately. And with streaming, I feel like they're just forgettable. Yeah, where people are like, oh, I'll watch, the Coming to America sequel, or I'll watch
or any Adam Sandler movie. I mean, I remember, listen, I know that the Grown Ups films are looked at as one of the worst comedies ever, but I personally enjoyed them. But besides the point, they made a shitload of money.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken, like
both those movies cleared 100 million.
And there were summer comedies also.
They were. Yeah, they did. They made. That was the funniest thing I remember. Wow, that was 2013 as well. Because I remember Grown Ups 2 opened against Pacific Rim.
Oh, wow.
And,
the first or the second one?
The first one.
Okay.
So I remember everyone was like, hey, like robots and giant lizards. This is going to be great. And Grown Ups 2 opens higher than Pacific Rim. And I remember like the nerds I know and the people I followed, particularly at the time when there was like, movie critics and stuff like that on YouTube was way bigger 10 years. I mean, now I feel like it's subdivided so much that like there's so many specific people.
But not only that, it's very saturated nowadays.
It's oversaturated, yeah. So back when that like movie punditry on like YouTube was like a newer thing,
like
or even
Chris
on
Stuckman
podcasts.
Or something,
Exactly, yeah. 2013, there were a lot more like kind of go-to people for that. So in that world of people who I followed, they were just like, Pacific Rim, this is going to be huge. Who doesn't want to see Pacific Rim? People with kids. They're going to see Grown Ups too. For some reason, they want to see Kevin James on a water slide. I don't get it, but sure.
I mean, these streaming titans, they have so much money that they're throwing at these actors and these directors and these studios to just be like, you know what? Yeah, here's 20 million to make one A movie.
A movie,
Like, so
yeah.
A movie. So it's like, why take the risk? Because there's a lot of risk.
No, there is a lot of risk.
There's way more risk theatrically than there is streaming.
Yeah.
Like, it's night and day.
Because you're giving up a third of your profits to the exhibitors,
Exactly.
which is something.
Right.
Which is why there's a prevailing theory like Disney's going to stop doing theatrical altogether because they make all the money from Disney Plus and the catalog is all their shit. So they may just fully go streaming.
I don't think like, because that's the thing. A lot of people felt like, and I even thought this during COVID, that like, okay, this is like the nail in the coffin.
Everybody was saying it. Yeah, everything's going straight to streaming now. Buy movie theaters. Meanwhile,
I think what it is there'll just be an adjustment. Like, they're going to be very, very concentrated on what gets put in theaters and how long they put them in theaters before they just swap over and put them onto the streaming side. That's what I think is going to happen.
I think you're right, because that's why most movies have been event movies, whether it's MCU movies or, newly animated Disney movies, which is what they have been. I mean, live action kind of, sort of, but they're kind of, Lion King is just an updated animated movie. But no, that is. And it's something that I was surprised by how much it took off, because I thought it kind of made sense and it was something people knew. And again, as being film nerds, we probably understood. Yeah. But when Matt Damon, I think he was on Hot Ones, and he was saying like, why, what's going on with movies? Why do we see, don't see smaller movies? I forget exactly what the question was. And he was saying, well, what happened was, and people shared the shit out of this clip too. Like, it was breaking news to them. And I guess for most people it was, because people don't pay attention to it. But his point that, well, there used to be, DVD sales, and people would buy movies, and that was a huge part of studios' revenue. So they would fund smaller movies. You could make a $30 million or $40 million movie, because some movies made that on DVD alone. I mean, one of the big ones, the Super Troopers, which didn't make much in the theater, but made like over $100 million on DVD in 2002.
There's been studios that recoup their budgets simply from blockbuster rentals.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, that was definitely a thing. I mean, in the mid 2000s, I'm talking like 05, 06, like your theatrical release was basically just an announcement for your DVD, because people were buying shit on DVD. So when you eliminate an entire revenue stream, now studios are making less money, so they're not going to gamble as much with something smaller. And also because the way audiences are, because audiences become more fickle because there's so many options, especially when they can stay home and watch something. They're not necessarily going to go see a movie unless it's something like, there are some exceptions. Something like Encanto, which like blows up, which is like took everybody by surprise, I feel. Right. I mean, it's also an audience that has been underserved theatrically, that's for sure.
That's for sure, yeah.
But there's some movies like...
Shout out to my Colombians.
There you go.
I enjoyed it.
But
I took my girl to go see it.
It's my last name.
But I get really?
Yeah.
Madrigal is my actual last name.
Oh, okay. I thought Encanto was yours. I was like, get the fuck out of here. Jason Encanto. Like, why aren't you using the shit out of that? Think about
we had this
think about the SEO optimization.
We had this discussion. So definitely check out the U-Goboy episode on First Class.
Okay, I'll put that link in the description as well. You can check him out on. Yeah. They're mounting each other's shoes. How about that?
Yahtzee.
Yahtzee is right. But there are those rarities where you're like, oh my God, even though it's a Disney movie and it's a musical and the songs are catchy as hell, it's still like, oh, here's something we didn't expect it to blow up like this. And I look at it as that's actually kind of a positive thing. Taking Encanto as an example, because I get ticket alerts for everything because I go to so many concerts. And it was the Encanto, it was a live show basically. They're broadcasting the movie, but it's a live musicians playing the music, like officially playing the soundtrack. Using the vocals that are, in the movie. So obviously the actors aren't present, although they've done that a couple times. Like, I know they did Little Mermaid at the Hollywood Bowl, and they've done some of those. But this is like a touring Encanto show. And tickets are selling like crazy. I'm like, okay, so that's great, because that actually does now reverberate to other industries, because now you got venues who are selling tickets, and the way, venues make their money. You got musicians getting employed. You got people going out to experience live music, because you can't, unlike something like movies or TV shows, nothing can replace live music. Going to a concert, nothing is going to replace that experience. I realize there's a lot of people who don't like going to concerts, but like as musicians as well, like you cannot beat live music. So the idea that people are going out and actually having that experience, I'm like, okay, here's something where you could look at it as there are plenty of Disney animated movies, especially in the last few years, that have not taken off. But here's something where I'm like, okay, this blew up, and now it's something that's turning into so much of a bigger thing, because, we found this... this niche that everybody caught on to, and it wasn't even something, it's something that all kids were into. All kids are singing about it. It had nothing to do with, it wasn't just, Latino communities that were like latched on to Encanto. It's just like, no, everybody's into it because
Well,
it's a story that,
Well, it's a story that could fit any kind of ethnicity. It's just they just happen to be Colombian in this one. I mean, and I love movies where it has like an ensemble cast and everything, and it's very enjoyable. But you could put any kind of ethnicity in the same situation. Like My Big Fat Greek Wedding, you could do that with Italians. You could do that with Spanish people.
Dude,
you know?
I'm telling you, my extended family loves barbershop. I'm talking about even aunts and uncles who were in their 70s at the time and they saw it because they're just like, that's us.
Well, the thing with Disney in particular, everything was very like individualized. Okay, we're gonna do the Asian movie. We'll do Mulan. We're gonna do the Hispanic movie. I guess we'll give them El Dorado. You see what I'm saying? We'll finally do an African movie, but we're not gonna put Africans in it in Lion King. You see what I'm saying? Like very, very
But we're gonna cast Beyonce, so it's okay.
Exactly. You see what I'm saying? We're gonna put a Latin. That'll be for Middle Eastern people.
And it had a white director.
Exactly.
Well. Yeah, listen, we're not going to get them all right. No. Just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm not defending Disney or anything like that.
They have the adjustments they've made, at least in more recent times, with representing more ethnicities, more people,
without a doubt,
more people of color. Because they have stories too. Everything shouldn't just be whitewashed.
Proof that it still has to be good.
Yeah, it still has to be good.
Like people latched on to Encanto because the story, because
and
the
it was good.
All of that.
The animation was good. The music was good. The story was good.
Totally.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
And let me bring up this point too, because I think this is a great story. So, you guys ever see The Color Purple?
Yes,
of course.
Okay, so obviously you guys know that it was directed by Steven Spielberg.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
and it was executive produced by Quincy Jones. I don't know if you guys know the story, but obviously Steven Spielberg felt some kind of way about directing a movie that he doesn't necessarily know too much about. Like his family hasn't gone through any of those struggles or anything. It's not part of his history. Yeah. But Quincy Jones, he knew for a fact that I don't care if a director is white, black, whatever. I just know that you're the perfect person to direct this movie. Just because you directed E.T., does that mean that you had to be an alien?
Exactly.
True.
And that's something
that was enough for him to say, like, okay, I'll take on this project.
That's something we're kind of losing now, where everybody and look, the representation is absolutely important, and showing diverse stories is absolutely important. But it's one of those things that like now people are getting pissed off about, where it's like, why did Steven Spielberg direct? Because it's Steven fucking Spielberg. Because people are going to movies that was getting a movie made. The Color Purple wouldn't exist if Steven Spielberg hadn't done it. Yeah, it's like Scarface wouldn't have come to be if it wasn't Al Pacino. You got Al Pacino and Brian De Palma, dude. But like, it's like they
same thing with Carlito's Way.
Right. It's like you're talking about people who transcend ethnicity in a lot of ways. Like people are going to see because it's just like, oh shit, it's Al Pacino. Like it wasn't like, well, the dude's not Cuban, or like, well, Steven Spielberg's directed The Color Purple, but like the movie's getting made, the story's getting told. Right. I mean, there's a big difference between Scarface, Color Purple. I'm not saying they belong in the same camp. I'm just saying the idea of like, but it should be this person, or it should be completely, because like. Anybody can tell these, and I realize I'm sitting here as a straight white male, so nobody wants to hear my opinion on this. But the truth of it is, as you dudes, we've had these conversations, and that's why I'm saying, it's the idea. Like, I mean, it is my opinion. It's not like I'm comfortable saying it because look, these guys agree with me. They're going to co-sign my statement. No, but it's like anybody can tell. Like, so many stories are universal. It doesn't just need to be like everybody represented, and like everybody who's represented in it needs to make it. But it is something where like. Yeah, there's a point when, The Color Purple wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for Steven Spielberg, because Steven Spielberg could get anything made. And you're talking about the dude who just, made Raiders of the Lost Ark, and E.T., and Jaws. Right. And he's going to tell a story that's 180 degrees away from like big summer action thrill ride. Mm-hmm. And telling this story and a movie that's fucking great. Yeah. I mean, really.
There are just more stories to be told where it's not with a white lead and a white co-star.
Absolutely. And just because the dude who directed, and just because the director wasn't a black woman, because I mean that's if we're talking about who the story's centered around, like that's okay because the story got told. The point is I mean, in my mind, I feel like the story, as long as the story is getting told,
you're 100% right,
and like it's getting got greenlit because of who was willing to do it, and it's not like this was some. I mean, look, none of us were alive during the time, so all we know is just what history is, has taught us about everything. But it's still like this wasn't a lighthearted romp, The Color Purple. That's why I see honestly, well, I see the trailer for The Color Purple musical. I'm like, this is very upbeat. I don't know about that. It feels weird.
It's still going to be dark.
Oh, it will be.
I just think that this is a more updated There'll be CGI in it.
Oh,
I'm
without a doubt.
that-
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah.
This is just
Yeah.
this Color Purple 2.0. That's what
It is. No, I'm not hating
going
on it.
for.
I'm just
Yeah.
looking at it just like, this feels a little weird because it's like, there's a lot of singing and dancing, and I'm like,
Yeah,
this
there
is
was-
not a
there was
happy
that-
story.
That was there's nothing.
No.
There are parts where it's just like, damn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm looking at, that's also my cynicism coming out, where I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know about this, but it is something where, like I said, I look at it and saying like, well, not everything needs to be all through. Like, you want Ryan Coogler to direct Black Panther? Makes total sense. Absolutely, 100% on board.
Absolutely.
Because it's a very specific. We've seen how many superhero movies? Here's something completely different. Here's something completely unique.
Right, right.
Like,
Yeah.
I get that, but
And also, he's very talented.
Yeah.
oh, without a
that
doubt, yeah, that's
goes to
it.
boot.
Like, you
Yeah,
can't just give it to.
Agreed.
Spike Lee.
Well, I was going to say Spike Lee. No, I'm trying to think of somebody because I'm like, there's a lot of, talented dudes where I'm like, well, okay, John Singleton could directed the shit out of Black Panther, for being honest. Like, there's an underappreciated director.
Yeah.
I'm saying like a name where you could
Yeah.
be like, this dude's made all these movies, but it's like, this dude's coming off of, I don't know, wait, yeah, sorry, Creed had come out already. I was going to say Fruitvale Station, but he'd
Stevie
already
Caple.
done Creed.
Steve
Yeah.
Caple, the guy that's directing the new Transformers movie.
Oh no, I'm saying like
Oh.
I'm saying Ryan Coogler at that point had done Creed
Oh, okay,
before
okay.
Black Panther.
Okay.
Um,
I'm sorry, I got it mixed
so-
up because
No, it's okay.
Steve Capel, Steve Capel, whatever his last name is. I'm sorry for mispronouncing it, but he did Creed 2, and now he just did the new Transformers movie. So.
Oh, did he? Okay, that's kind of a drag. That's a step down. I'm sorry to hear that. The Transformers. I mean, those movies. Like you're not. I mean, you're working with the actors, but so much of that.
It's not as bad as the car series. It's just I wouldn't say so.
Well, I've seen 2 Transformers movies, so I guess I'll have to cop to the fact that it's not as bad. Because I did see 2. I hated them both, but I fucking hated Revenge of the Clones. The second one especially.
Revenge of the Clones.
Revenge of the Fallen.
There you go.
Or whatever it was. Whatever I call it. I blocked it out.
You're like
Okay,
you're
yeah.
like the comic book guy from The Simpsons. This is terrible. Worst movie ever.
Stop it. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. The Transformers movies everybody hates those Michael Bay Transformers movies. Don't they? Don't they? Are you going to stand up and fight for those?
I like the first one.
You're out of your mind.
I like the first
Fucking
one.
mind. The first Transformers movie was in the 86 animated one, yes. Cocaine-fueled animation, I'm on board for.
Sign me up for some Shia LaBeouf.
But you're the only person saying that. That's
I
a
would have
drop.
said Megan Fox, but okay.
it's a Megan Fox too. That goes without saying. Before all the blood stuff. Like
Yeah. Circa 2007.
yeah.
Barely
Yeah.
legal. Just past legal Megan Fox. Am I right? Anyway.
Jesus Christ.
Listen, I'm not. It's his words. I'm saying.
I said
there's a drop in-
without the blood stuff. I'm not with
Whatever. You were standing Shia LaBeouf first. Okay, that's all I'm. We're all gonna
He's a
remember
good
that.
actor.
Is he?
Yeah.
He is actually. I gotta be
He's-
serious.
I don't
He
think he's a
actually
bad
is.
actor.
No, he's a very good actor, and I feel like he stole Fury. Like when I saw that movie, I was just
Yeah.
like, "Fuck, this guy's good." It's a shame
No,
he's
yeah,
crazy.
he was good, yeah.
I was in the theater. I'm just like, he's really, really good. It's a shame he can't get his shit together.
Yeah.
He's got a lot going
I
on.
don't know. He's like, we all have a lot going on. I don't know if that's an excuse.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's an excuse. There's a lot happening up here.
You don't see me going off the rails.
No. Robert
No,
Downey
at
had
least
a lot
not yet.
going on. No, he turned out good.
He did. He's the
Wow.
comeback
Took-
story we all
took-
want to say.
took a while.
It took a little while. Yeah, I mean, he was like 5th build in that awful Shaggy Dog remake.
Oh, Jesus
It's like
Christ.
Tim Allen is the Shaggy Dog. Also, Robert Downey Jr. is in the movie. Wait, what? So yeah, everybody's got their low point. We get it. Everybody's got to build.
And also
back.
got to give props because not only did he have a great big comeback with Iron Man, but he could have easily lost it all with Tropic Thunder, and it didn't affect him one iota.
Well, that's something people are retroactively trying to go back and be like,
What-
yeah,
we got you.
What's
Yeah.
so
The
crazy?
fucking gotchas of Gen Z.
What's so crazy? Because I remember this clear as day.
Go ahead.
So what the week that it came out, they were going on their press tour, going on
Yeah.
TV shows, and so
Right.
forth.
Right.
This is how I knew black people accepted this movie.
Go ahead.
They went on 106 in Park. 106 in Park is for high school black kids.
Yeah.
They went, everyone in the crowd knew
Right.
exactly who the hell all those people were.
Mhm.
And they knew Robert Downey, what he had just done,
Mhm.
and he was getting all the love.
Yeah.
Right.
So I hadn't seen the movie. I was
Mm-hmm.
just like, yo, like, okay, let me see what it's about. I watched it. I couldn't breathe. I was laughing so
Right.
hard.
It's one of the
And
funniest
it's
comedies I've ever seen in
one
my
of,
life.
One of, and
Ever.
even the non-intentional funny stuff is still funny in there, whatever. But again, I point back to that because again, 106 in Park, like that was an institution in black culture. And for them to promote that movie, yeah, it was owned by Viacom, a white company at the time, but that's regardless of the fact. Regardless of the fact, the audience, the demographic, who was there in attendance, they accepted and embraced
Right.
Robert Downey and all the actors.
But they got the joke. That's the
They
point.
got it.
It was making fun of actors. Like
It's
that was the whole
spoof-
thing.
it
It's like
was
it's
just
making fun of
spoofing.
like how
Yes.
yeah, exactly.
it's
like,
satire. The whole movie is
The whole
satire.
movie is
the whole
satire.
fucking movie is absolutely.
They just
But-
up the ante with method actors.
Yes,
That's all it was.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it is that ridiculousness. It's like, no, they would totally do this. But
Yeah.
now it's something where it's just like, can you
Yeah.
believe he really?
You couldn't make
Really?
there is less than 0% chance they could make a Tropic Thunder in this current
Oh,
climate.
of course.
No
No,
way. No
just the
way.
fact that they
No
keep
freaking way.
digging that up every time. You know, Oppenheimer's coming out, he's in it. They're gonna be like, aha, have you
Listen.
seen this clip? Unearthed. Everybody acts like they found something. It was a hit movie.
Listen,
15 years ago.
Do you know who Gen Z was trying to cancel very recently? Howard Stern.
Of course. They always do.
Yeah.
They always do.
Yeah, but the thing is, I'm thinking now.
Yes.
Now you trying to cancel
Yes.
him?
Well, they always bring up the clip, and nobody ever
When he was
gets
in
this.
blackface or
And
something?
well,
Yeah,
yeah.
I
Well,
think
so
so,
here's what
yeah.
happened. It was, I believe, it was a New Year's Eve special. Now, what it was actually a joke on. So the Friars Club does their roasts.
Yes.
They always have been closed as long before everyone had a fucking video camera in their pocket. And there was, I don't remember who the roast was for, but at the time, Ted Danson was dating Whoopi Goldberg, and he showed up at the roast, and Ted Danson was in blackface. For whatever reason, I don't remember I don't know if, I'm sure it was talked about in very brief, because again, there's no press or those are not public things. The Friars Club is very much closed events, even still today.
Yeah.
And so what they did was, what Howard did to make fun of Ted Danson in blackface was he put on blackface, and who was with him as Whoopi with the dreadlock wig, Sherman Helmsley as Whoopi next to him, making fun of Ted Danson in blackface. He wasn't doing it he was making fun of Ted Danson. He wasn't making fun of black people overall. He was making fun of like, here's how stupid you looked, being like,
Yeah.
it's okay because I'm dating Whoopi Goldberg. Like,
The woke mob does not care about
no,
any
they
of
don't
these
care about
things.
context. They don't care about
Context
context.
is
Oh, there
irrelevant.
was like a week. Now, granted, this is like 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
There was like a week on Twitter where people trying to talk about Mrs. Doubtfire being transphobic, and
Oh my
everyone's just
God,
like, no,
yes,
we're not.
yes.
No,
We're not doing
no,
that.
we're not.
We're not doing
No,
that.
it's nothing.
no,
It's a man dressing up like a woman because he wants to see his kids. Like, that's it. That's all it is. It has nothing to do. It has nothing to do with being transgender. It's not a comment on that. It's
I
a
have
cross-dressing man who wants to see his kids, who's playing a character. That's it. That's all it is.
Great
But there's
movie.
always
Great movie, by the way.
I have
There's
another
always-
analogy, but I
excellent.
don't know if it's safe to say it on camera, so I'll just tell you guys afterwards.
Okay.
Okay, save it for the Patreon.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, right? Oh, I need to bring back Patreon. There's
Yeah.
gold. There's fan-funded gold out there.
Some gems in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that
some
people
Don
can
Lemons
then
in there.
Yes.
they could share out of context and cancel Jason Enrique.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, but
I should start a
No,
podcast
that's-
called Cancel Me.
somebody has to have one already. There's got to be.
There has to be something.
I will
There's
blow-
oh my
I
God,
will
who
blow
is it?
them out. If there is, I will blow them out of the water with my words.
I don't know if you can, because there's a whole batch of teary-eyed right wingers who are just like, meh, stop cancel culture. Same people who boycott, Bud Light, etc. Are just like, cancel culture sucks. But no, there's a whole
I'm gonna
whole
get Target to sponsor me.
there's a group who meets in New York of all these like media personalities and so forth who have been canceled, who all get together to commiserate. I was reading about this actually a couple of days ago,
that's too funny.
and I'm like, that's pathetic, but whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. Anyway, all right. Well, we've done it. There you go. You got your extra long show. We're like, we've done an hour. What should we do? Another half hour? All right. Coming up. Connor was like, I know. This is only my third episode of this dopey show, and I know it's not going to be an hour. It's fucking. Yeah, I was like, who's booked? Ming, who's booked in?
Every 5 minutes he's
Oh,
updating his LinkedIn.
This is brought to you by
Brought to you by Connor's LinkedIn. Link in the episode description. Can I really put it in the episode description? Everyone's going to look for it. I won't if you don't want me to.
Yeah, it's just my name.
That's fine. Well, I know, but we haven't said your name. We haven't shown your face. Nothing. Like, I drag everybody into the show just by the fact that they're here. Trust me, everybody's been dragged into this fucking show, especially the engineers. Chris and Christian will tell you all about it. But there's a lengthy history there of just like, oh, you want me to be part of this? Yes, please. Please be part of it. I know. Well, that's why I'm like, Connor needs a mic. So next time, we're setting up a mic for you.
Oh man, especially today with those fires in Canada. I keep on doing
Oh
some
man.
talk.
Yeah, you mean Mad Max, New Jersey?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it is.
What
Blade
was
Runner
it?
2049 was what I was telling people. It's just like,
okay.
it's Blade. It looks like Blade Runner outside.
I was-
or Fury Road.
My
It kinda
brother
looks like
said
Fury
Book
Road.
of Eli, and I was like,
Oh my
yeah.
God.
I was like, yeah, that works too.
That does.
One of the
It felt like we were in like Mexico, like they put that filter on.
It looked like a Breaking
Yeah.
Bad filter. It kind of
Yeah.
did. Yeah.
Yeah.
one of the best memes I saw was when somebody said like, "Hey, do you need anything from the bodega?" And it was either from I Am Legend or Blade Runner. Where the I think it was Blade Runner. Yeah.
The one I saw on Twitter was it was
Arizona tweeted that actually, just like trying to get Arizona tea from the bodega. Arizona brand tea.
They
Obviously.
had Godzilla next to the Empire State Building.
I did see that one. I
I was in tears. No,
This is a couple days. Yeah, this is a couple days after this episode goes up. This is going up Monday. A couple days when this
that
Canada
was
wildfires and
rich.
everything.
The
Well, who
internet.
knows how long it's
It
gonna
was
last.
an interesting couple of days. So yeah, everyone will forget about. Everybody will be on to something else by next week when this.
I
goes
hope
out,
so.
but, you know,
I hope so.
Yeah.
We'll be.
For God's sakes.
There'll be something else wrong
Yeah.
with society. There'll be another collapse
True.
of some sort. However, in the meantime, thank you for, of course, checking out the show. 2 more episodes left for the first half of 2023, everybody. So definitely make sure you stay tuned for. It's a long wrap up, Connor. You can put your hand, take your hand off the mouse. I was like, this. How much longer is this going to be? 5 to 10 minutes. Yeah, exactly. You can take a nap. We'll shake you when we're done.
You go make a phone call.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
stretch
make
your
a
legs.
call. Smoke them if you got them.
Yeah, there you go.
But anyway, so Monday, June 26th, the Wax Special, Cape 230. Make sure you check that out. Cape 229 should be announced. We're just waiting for confirmation on something else that's going to be happening, if all goes well, this coming weekend. So, yeah, by the time this goes out, there may be an announcement already as far as what it's going to be. We teased it in the first episode back, but just to confirm, waiting on one person to get back to me about that. So, yeah, it's tougher to get things done. We're all really, really busy. Sorry.
Yeah.
But not so busy we can't sit and talk about movies for like 2 hours. But anyway, in the
A lot
meantime,
of my day.
you can follow Jason Enrique at Jason Enrique on the socials.
Yeah, Jason Enrique
Jason
_ on Instagram,
underscore.
TikTok, and Twitter. And don't forget to follow First Class Second Place on all streaming platforms, everywhere you get your podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe by First Class Second Place on YouTube.
Yes. YouTube and wherever you get your stuff. Links in the description, of course, and as well as the U-Goboy podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Same thing.
U-Goboy88 on everything.
That's right.
TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, u-goboy.com, and the U-Goboy podcast on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all the social medias, and LinkedIn. as well.
Yeah.
LinkedIn.
I think we need to create one.
Yeah.
We got to make a group. Can you make groups on LinkedIn?
Yes.
And just like put all our profiles on there just because of
More than
there
likely,
has
yeah.
to be. There has to be. But there has to be a Cape one now too. That we just put all our LinkedIn's on there. Like haven't been active since like 2017, but you know, we'll make a group just for ourselves.
I keep getting comedians. Like my last 3 guests have been comedians.
God damn it!
I
Did
love-
it again. I'm tucking my. I'm never using this chair again. I tuck my leg back, and like
You keep
my
pressing
heel
you keep
is hitting it. Like I'm
Something keeps
moving.
hitting the lever.
No, it's literally like my boot goes right here. So all I do is just move my leg, and the thing is sinking. I can't use this chair anymore. Which is a shame because it sits high enough that I'm like, I don't feel like I'm slouched over like this.
We get it. You're taller than us.
Had that chair, the one Ugo is sitting in right now, and
Well, shit.
swapped it out because that one was more aesthetically pleasing because it wasn't just like ripped and stuff. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do the most for my guests yet.
No,
He
so
tried.
he set you up. He set you up.
It
for failure,
it
pretty much.
worked for a lot of the time. We're gonna find a way to lock this shit in place next time I'm here, which isn't gonna be until the fall apparently. This is the last shared
Funnily
universe show. Yeah, funnily enough, that's how this happened. The great sinking chair episode of Cape. There's always one. There's gonna. I'm telling you, it's gonna happen.
I cannot wait till you put that in the clip. Like so, this
gonna be a
week.
clip.
This week on Cave.
Yeah, it's gonna be like, oh my god, the chair's sinking. That's gonna be good. That's gonna go in the highlight reel
Shout
for
out
sure.
I'm here
At
for
the
it.
end for 2023, that's gonna be one of the highlights. It's gonna be me actually sinking.
Shout out to Peaches.
Pew pew pew.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and you can't follow Connor anywhere except LinkedIn, but that link's gonna be down there too. But you can follow me at Chris Aballo on Twitter and TikTok, and Chris Sells Out on Instagram, and follow the show at CAPEPOD on the socials and YouTube as well. Subscribe wherever. If you made it through this, please, for the love of God, subscribe to the show so you can get this madness every Monday. And also be announcing there's a plan, by the way, for all the shows on hiatus, but I'll talk about that in 2 weeks on Cape 230. What we're going to be doing. So continue to follow. Just because the show's not happening on a weekly basis, there will still be videos and such that are going to be going out there. But more details on that soon enough. And follow the show. Like I said, CAPEPOD, subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Watch the show on YouTube as well. Full episodes. Every episode from 2023 has gone up in full. There's a whole playlist of other episodes. The best of 2022 is a playlist for that. If you're new to the show and you want to see what we did last year, bunch of video clips, the compilation, Volume 1 and Volume 2 in the podcast feeds as well. And I keep forgetting to say it, even though the link's in the description below. Book me on Fiverr, expanding the voiceover business. You can book me for voiceovers on Fiverr. So click on that. If you need a voiceover for whatever your project is, then hey, find me and let's talk. Send me a proposal. I want to work. I'm busy. I'm not that busy that I'm going to turn down a couple of bucks. Yeah, throw a few bucks my way, and I'm willing to make the time. Is what I'm saying. If I can find 2 hours to do this, I can certainly make some money in those 2 hours. Anyway, Subscribe, share, follow, like, all that good stuff. And thank you for checking out the show. So until next time, for Connor, Jason, and U-Goboy, this is Chris Aballo, and this was yet another experiment.